Wow.
I try not to use them unless I need
Paint's
them.
all worn off.
They have that lived in look.
You probably know this.
Here we go.
Everything I
All
own
right.
At or beyond its utility.
Life, useful life.
Yeah. Historically, I get 2 rounds, so.
Welcome, everyone, to the February 12th meeting of the Bellingham Conservation Commission at the Municipal Center. We have one member of the commission who is online Zooming, Ariane Barton. She's going to be online, so we will be doing voice roll call votes as per open meeting law for any votes that are taken. Otherwise, we will be proceeding with a very busy agenda, so we'll try to keep things moving right along. Get everybody out of here in a timely manner, hopefully. First item on the agenda is a continued hearing for off Lake Street, Prospect Hill Village, a notice of intent, construction of a 156 unit townhouse development which will impact bordering vegetated wetland, bank, land under water bodies and waterways, bordering land subject to flooding and riverfront area. Louis Petrozzi from Wall Street Development is the applicant, Representative Paul McManus. We have been requested due to information that's still being exchanged with the peer reviewers and the applicant and other information going back and forth to continue this to the February 26th meeting at 7 p.m. That's the request of the applicant, so I will entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
James?
Seconded.
Second, Bob, thank you. Any other discussion?
Anything from legal? Yep.
Still working on it.
They're still working on the legal deed information that we asked
Okay.
them to look at. They're still
The
pursuing.
rail thing.
The rail, what we actually, on the deed situation is not as clear as mud, basically, is what it is.
Do they
And
have a
they're-
time frame?
Have you heard anything?
Hopefully by next meeting, we should be
good.
having
Yeah,
something.
they've been working on it, I know, and have been exchanging information and getting more information and so forth, but we want to get some sort of clear reading on that.
We need
for
to get
sure.
them looking into Blackstone Street too.
Yeah, Blackstone Street will be the next thing we're going to ask them to tackle.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? No? All right, I'll accept a roll call vote here. Neil?
Aye.
Ariane?
Aye.
Thank you. Don?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
Pam?
Aye.
Mike? Aye. Unanimous vote, thank you. Okay, so that's continued to the evening of...
Mike?
Steve didn't vote.
Oh, sorry, Steve.
Aye.
You know why? Because you weren't on the roll call. You were here at the last meeting. I was looking at all this, sorry. Just checking them off. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Unanimous vote now, thank you. Okay, so that'll be continued to 7 p.m. the evening of February 26th, our next meeting. Next item on the agenda is notice of intent for a continued hearing for 1052 South Main Street, construction of a drainage pipe to replace the failed drainage pipe located within a 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland. Glendon Wagner is the applicant, and representative has been Chris Syriac from DPW in Bellingham. We have the applicant seeking to withdraw without prejudice. Hannah, could you elucidate or illuminate us on that? What you've heard?
They essentially, the drainage study that was requested to do the work, they didn't have it in the budget.
The town,
Yeah.
just so we're clear.
Yeah, DPW at the moment, so.
So
And
without,
there hasn't been, too much flooding as of late with all the drought, so.
so at this
Let's do
time,
withdrawal.
at this time,
Yep.
not that we couldn't re-pick it up if the situation warrants it, perhaps, I guess, but that would require, investment in the town for engineering to make sure we have a good, I think that would be upshot of what the commission had been
Yeah,
hoping
there
for.
needs to be a whole lot of engineering.
For a good solution, for a long-term solution, not something that would be,
For anything other than a slapdash sort of Band-Aid, yes.
okay. So, I guess we need to have a motion and accept a withdrawal without prejudice. Do we actually say without prejudice during the, I'm not sure if I have ever used the words without, I know we use it in court and stuff like that. Okay, so, I will accept a motion to withdraw this, hearing for 1052 South Main Street at this time at the request of the applicant for, this notice of intent.
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Neil. Any other discussion? Questions? Anybody in the audience? I know Bernadette's not here. I'll have to update her. I'm sure Bernadette will contact you or me tomorrow. probably, if she's watching me. Okay. When did we get asked by that, just for information?
That was last meeting.
The last meeting they asked,
Yeah.
did they actually mention it at the last meeting that they wanted to withdraw it? Or did we just not talk about it?
No, I contacted them after last meeting when we realized I had left it off the agenda.
Okay, great. And so then they filled you in. So it's in the
Yeah.
last 2 weeks that we've heard that they
Yeah.
want to do this. Okay, it wasn't prior to that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we'll do a roll call vote. Neil?
Aye.
Ariane?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
Pam?
Aye.
And Mike, aye. Okay, unanimous vote, thank you. Okay, so that's,
Should have voted no.
okay. Next item on the agenda is a new hearing. It's a RDA, a request for determination of applicability for 63 Silver Lake Road for the removal of 2 trees within a 100-foot buffer zone to a lake. Jacob Forget from Edgewood Drive is the applicant. And if you're in the room, would you come forward? Sorry, come right up. I take it you're Jacob?
I am.
Okay, welcome. So if you want to briefly describe your request for the.
We're just looking to have 2 trees removed to install solar. Both trees are also damaging the roof, moss, things like that. They're within the buffer. We're just basically looking to request to see if we could get that done.
They're within about, I think the information is about 20 feet of the lake itself. So they're in a resource area, yes, okay.
Yep.
So the only reason to remove the trees, you said something about, other than the solar, what was the second thing you said?
They're just building up moss on the roof, so they are damaging the shingles.
So they're shading the roof and causing some issues with mains. But the trees themselves, are they in good shape? They looked in the pictures, look like
I'm
they're pretty
not a tree
healthy.
professional. They look,
I mean, they're not dead,
Yeah,
they're
they're
not
not dead
leaning
in my
over
mind.
the house, okay. Commission has had a chance to look at some of this information. Usually, in a resource area like this, the commission is, in the past, been reluctant to
yeah.
cut trees out of a resource area. They're in good health. I mean, if they're, healthy trees are a valuable resource and they're right next to the lake, they're not like well inland or well away from it. So they have value of helping retain the soil around the lake and so forth and being stable, as opposed to health safety things, which if a dead tree is leaning over a house or something like that, we certainly on the commission have never hesitated to support the property owners, even if it's on conservation land, leaning over into somebody's property, because health and safety is a priority there for that. But I'd like to get the commission's input.
I went by yesterday or the day before, and I drove by just to take a look.
Yeah.
And I can see how it's shading your house. So, not that this is necessarily part of it, but my thought was, if the board agrees to support this, would it be possible to plant something else there that doesn't grow as tall?
Yeah,
Bushes,
she's actually,
that
they're
kind of
actually
thing.
planning to, on the left side of the house, it's all gonna be new arborvitaes, so there is a bunch of trees that are gonna be planted around the property in the next few weeks. So,
Okay.
Excuse me, the solar will be house or ground?
house. It's gonna be on the roof. The trees are roughly about 15 feet from the house.
I understand. When you presented it, I thought you were taking the trees out to put solar in their place.
No,
It's shading the roof.
I understand.
they're overhanging over the
Yeah,
house.
it's, the sun comes up from the south that way, heading towards the lake, and looks like it's blocking it from that.
Yeah.
So I assume trimming the trees wouldn't solve the problem?
No, obviously when it comes down to trimming, it would be as the trees would grow, it would become,
a
you know,
resource area.
it becomes detrimental again, it would be constantly redoing it again. I wish that would be the case, but sadly, it's not. They are tall trees.
Right. James?
Is the roof mount only going on facing that direction? It's not on both?
It's on
Sides of
both
the-
planes
both.
of the roof. Yep. There's actually two properties on that one plot of land, just going on that. Due to the code, they're not allowing, the state doesn't allow two surfaces to be covered currently.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously this is not my home, so if it were my home, I'm sure I would feel differently, but my opinion here would be that it would probably be preferential that we're doing some sort of like maintenance plan and trimming to prevent shading, but especially because shading's really only half the year. Both of these are not coniferous, so they shed in the winter and fall months.
The shading's actually full, yeah, we actually did the site survey in the fall time, but there was no leaves on it. And it's still dimensional shading, so I can only imagine what it's like in the summer.
Yeah, okay.
You see, you can imagine what's like in summer. Have you not lived there more than a year?
It's not my property, I'm just the one arranging all of it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. I didn't realize that, okay.
Yeah.
The bylaws, and that's where I was hoping I had a copy, just refer to it, but within 25 feet of a resource area, which the lake is,
Yeah.
which these trees are, usually it's a no disturb area, which we would only give a waiver to for something, an applicant coming for something, if it's making the situation better. For example, if there's a septic system that has failed within 25 feet of a resource area and it's bubbling up and sewage is flowing out of the ground, which could happen and has happened in town, putting in a new septic system in the same area, even though it's disturbing that area and it's within 25 feet of a resource area, is often much better for the environment and is approved by the commission, given a waiver for that kind of work because it makes it better overall. I'm just pointing this information out. I'm not making a statement for the on behalf of the commission. I'm just making this information available. So, in the past, many times the commission, when they're brought with things that are within the 25 foot, which this is, we're reviewing to see if it's making the situation, if it's required to make the situation better, that the work is being requested to be done. And by better, I mean environmentally better.
Well, obviously, as
For
a
the
carbon
bylaws.
output.
Beg your pardon?
As a carbon output, I mean, in general, that the
There's-
solar itself would offset it in the first 6 months. So you're
There,
talking a
there is some
25
trade-off
years.
too, and based on all the solar projects I've gone in town where they've taken out forests in some cases, as opposed to doing it on a golf course or something, which they're doing in Maplegate. There's some back and forth about whether taking down trees is better to leave the trees than put up solar in certain areas. Certainly if you go to brownfield or something, wouldn't be a point of discussion, but dealing with this particular site and this particular location, your particular request, it's up to the commission to say whether they want to issue a waiver and allow what is in the bylaw specified as not a disturbed area to be disturbed in this case. So that's up to the commission to have any other comments. If not, then somebody can make a motion.
Well, I mean, it is a disturbed area. It's,
Given that it's developed in a yard.
it's a yard, it's been a yard for a long time, probably since the trees were planted. I'm generally opposed to cutting down trees to put in solar, because I don't think it's a good
How are
trade.
the trees
I don't think
gonna
it's a
be
good
cut?
trade-off.
How are they going to be cut? Horizontally?
Cut 'em at the
Just
stump.
Cut them at the stump, correct.
You're planning on leaving the stumps, not stumping, correct?
We're gonna leave the stumps.
For erosion
Kind
control.
of at grade.
They're gonna use a crane too to basically eliminate any type of, means, everything, no truck, no guy, it's gonna be reached from the street. So obviously try to avoid any type of disturbance as far as what we're doing there to the water too.
There's
Have we?
three,
Go ahead,
there's three
James.
trees?
There's 2 trees within the zone, there's 3 total on the project. The one on the street side would be removed, which is not within the buffer.
That's outside of 100 feet?
Don?
I don't know
Don
if this
would
is practical, but have there been situations where we've approved something like this with a requirement to put in, say, dwarf trees as a replacement? Or
Well,
something along those lines?
We can put in order conditions any way we want, you
can.
set that, I mean,
It's an RDA.
oh, that's right. It's an
We can
RDA.
do
It's not-
conditions on
It's
an
not an
RDA.
NOI. and
Yeah,
for
that's
NOI, we
why I
can do
was-
order of conditions.
yeah.
For RDA,
Yeah.
you don't do an order of conditions for an RDA,
No,
correct?
but
Right.
like James said, condition, the
Yeah.
RDA, the DLA.
And your thoughts specifically on this? For
Well,
this
you know,
location?
the issue, if there's a balance between our desire to help continue to protect that area, protect the trees, and having enough light to hit the roof for solar, dwarf trees.
Oh, right,
are
no,
an
I'm not
option.
questioning the dwarf, I'm just wondering if you have a specific phrasing you would like to put in as like a
Ooh.
order condition at this point in time, because if you're gonna make a motion to do something one way or the other, you
Yeah.
wanna add that now at this point, rather than having to have Hannah come up with something.
I'd rather have Hannah come up with something. No.
Well, you can keep it as general as you wish, I mean, but you're
Yeah,
the one.
yeah, I would make a
mentioned it.
motion to to ask, to have the owner of the property replace those trees with dwarf trees that would both satisfy our needs and theirs. I'm not sure how that's properly worded, but
So you're removing the tree in the front of the house as well?
Yes,
Is that the only tree in the front of the house? I
yes.
can't remember. Okay.
Yes.
But is that needed because of solar also?
No, it's needed for to set up the crane and drop zone.
Oh,
They're
just
not
so you
allowed-
get
They're
the.
not
cr-
allowed to they can't access the property without taking it down.
Okay, well, it's outside the jurisdictional area apparently, so that's not something we can really have much say on whether we think it's a great idea or not. Okay, I guess that we would still need a motion per se, because your motion wasn't to approve or not approve this, it was just about the dwarf trees, which I understand. We can
Yep.
throw that in as part of that if you want to do that, but I'm still waiting to see any other discussion or option, questions. Ariane, do you have any other thoughts, questions you want to bring up? Pam? So I'll make sure everybody has an opportunity.
I'll make a motion to issue a negative determination subject to the conditions that Don had given.
Okay. Is that clear enough for everybody on the commission?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, appropriate. All right, so we have a negative, just so you know, negative determination means you don't have to go through a notice of intent and apply, so it's basically saying it's okay.
Okay.
So this is one time when saying no is good. Not usually the case, but in this particular application, just giving what you were asking for. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? And Hannah, are you clear enough, you think, between you? Okay.
Like some type of shorter
Yep.
tree.
Yeah, there's dwarf trees. You
Yeah,
know,
we're planning to shoot.
I think I think
Yeah,
the
I have
intent-
it in my yard.
Right, well, you mentioned the arborvitae along the side. I think Don's intent was to have something in the same general area along the lake there that's shorter, but it would help retain some sort of vegetation in the front, which was there before.
yeah.
Okay.
Keep those geese out.
Yeah. Okay, so we're looking for a vote here. Neil?
Aye.
Ariane?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
Pam?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Okay, Mike, aye. All right, so it's a unanimous vote. All right, and it's been approved.
Thank you.
You're good to go. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is new hearing for an RDA for 49 Lakeshore Drive. Remodeling of the existing house, including a 3-foot first floor addition, patio, deck, a new septic system within the 100-foot buffer zone. Ed Pizzurro, mispronouncing that, I'm sorry?
Terzo.
Paterzo, sorry. Thank you. Come on up, Ed. Is the applicant. Welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So you want to briefly describe, we have seen the information that you provided to Hannah via the RDA application, and so we've had that in the portal. But if you'd like to just briefly describe for us what you're proposing doing?
Sure, yeah, so there's maybe possibly the original cesspool is in the back of the house on the lake side. So proposing to put a new septic system in, which would actually be on the front yard of the house. And the system itself is outside of the buffer zone, but the connection that goes into the house, a portion of that is in the buffer zone. So looking for approval for that piece. Then on the back of the house, looking to do a small addition and add a deck. You have to have a deck on a lake house, it's just not right not to, so. So looking to add a deck. With that addition and deck, it would actually be helical posts that we'd be using to minimize any disturbance to the soil.
Do you have drawings for that? All we have is a septic.
For the deck?
drawings. Yeah.
Yeah, page,
They don't have schematics, but they have a.
page 15,
Elevation.
there's a kind of a, there's a,
So were you actually, this says demo existing wall, it looked like you're making the patio that you're proposing in this, not extend out from the existing house completely, that entire distance, but cutting back underneath as well? So the deck is overshadowing a patio that's expanded both backwards and forwards?
Yes,
Is that the
because there's a portion of the house that is not on, it doesn't have footings. So I think somebody just framed in an old deck that was there at some point. It just seems unsafe. So it's demoing that piece, and then the addition would only be on the first floor level, so it'd be open below.
Okay, I was just trying to get an idea of the impact on the area that we have jurisdiction over, so going towards the lake and the resource area, how much is it going out from the existing footprint of the house right
From the
now
existing,
towards the lake?
it's 9 feet.
about 9 feet, okay, thank you.
And the majority is 50 feet from the edge of the lake. It's pretty much just the stairs
Right.
that are within 50 feet.
Okay, that's good,
It
thank you.
helps to kind of see the photos, because I was a little
Yeah.
bit confused
Yeah.
too about the first floor expansion, but it's because it's the,
Slope.
split level, yeah, the sloped house. So the first floor is really like the above floor when you go out the back.
Right, in the deck area, yeah, makes sense.
And that's all, the deck's gonna be in that where it's existing lawn and the concrete pathway?
Correct.
Okay. Are you replacing that pathway and the stairs that go down to the lake?
I don't.
At this
not sure
time.
what- I'm sorry?
At this time,
As
you,
proposed,
No.
are you?
okay.
No, no.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to promise to do anything down the future, or you can always come back, but if it's not in the current plans, you probably don't want to suddenly add that in here and complicate things if
Right.
it's not already on the plans.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
So the deck will extend out how far to the fence before the slope?
How far is it to the
9 feet, I think you
fence?
said. Was that the 9 feet that you were referring
The
to?
9 feet is from the existing house.
Towards the fence?
Yep.
At the back of the property, or the
Correct.
back towards the lake, okay.
Towards the lake, right?
Is that what your question was, Steve?
So it'll take up
9 feet from the house.
roughly halfway between the house and the fence.
Yes, yeah, I think it's close to that.
I imagine it'd be about
9
here.
feet in there, somewhere about that snow line, yeah. Somewhere
Okay.
around there.
Ariane, any questions online?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Just make sure, don't exclude you. Pam, anything? Don? Anybody else?
Is the cesspool active?
It was still in working order when I bought the house.
But as per, I think it was in the plans, it's gonna be filled in and compacted, whatever.
Exactly.
All right.
Yep.
So, removed.
Correct.
Okay. And also, I assume as part of the scope, I don't remember if anybody else saw on the portal, the usual erosion control methods and so forth seem to be in there as well as in the order.
Yeah, I'd like to have that on the plan if possible, along with the deck, if the deck is gonna be part of the plat.
There's a silt sock on the plan.
There, Ariane, James is saying there is a silt sock on the plan along the backside, I think, from the lakeside.
So just to explain, it's at the end of the RDA package. He had originally come with just the septic plan, and then I requested that after looking at the architecture plans, that he add the deck and, the erosion controls to the, markup of the plan, and that's just at the end of the RDA submittal.
See, that's why you're the
Okay,
best.
yeah, I see it now.
That's why you're the
Okay.
best.
Good, all right, thanks, it's helpful.
And there's no plans to take down the tree, or you're not? Those trees that are behind?
back?
Yeah, in the back,
No.
between the house and the deck?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, any other?
Personally, I see this as all positive.
It's always good to move septic away from the lake. and
Yeah,
move for-
because I would imagine it's bleeding into the,
Cesspool out, septic in, yay.
I agree with that.
Not every property, especially around the lakes around here, can have enough frontage to the road to do a septic system in front of their house. Okay, any
Is
other
that
questions?
area on public water?
It
Yes,
is, yes.
Yeah.
there's proposed water service to be relocated on the plan.
With the
As opposed to a well, yeah.
copy of one with the edits on it?
Beg your pardon, say it again, Arian?
Is that the copy with the edits on it?
It says public water, oh, the line being replaced, I'm not sure.
No, the RDA application, there's a plan set, and it shows the water service.
Oh, that's a septic plan?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's in the RDA
Yeah, the
plans,
septic plan that
Arian.
also has the silt sock on it.
Oh,
Yeah,
And the
it
deck,
does. It's
and the
last
deck.
page.
It's kind of a page 15 out of 16 on the, or 16 out of 16,
oh, I see the notes on the side now.
yeah.
Are we seeing any need for conditions?
If anybody sees anything that was left out that wasn't included in there first.
No, we just have to, I would want to put in, that the existing cesspool has to be abandoned, filled, and the siltation, silt sock goes in. Maybe put in that it gets inspected, you inspect it when they put it in. That'd be about it.
I make a motion to accept as proposed, plus the,
Actually, it's a
conditions.
negative determination of applicability, this is an RDA.
okay.
So we, as we did with the previous one, have a few conditions that we were requesting, but it would be a negative determination of an RDA. Is that what you're proposing, Steve, on your
Yes.
motion? Thank you. And with the conditions as specified, Hannah, we have those captured well enough? Okay, good. So we're looking for a second on that motion?
A second.
Thank you, Pam. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. Ariane?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
Pam?
Aye.
Neil?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Mike, aye. Okay, it's unanimous
Are you
vote.
a tourist son?
Yes.
Okay, sir, you are good to go.
All right,
Thank you very much for
everyone.
coming in.
Thank you, Hannah. Hannah is the best.
There you go. We think so too.
Have a good evening.
Have a good night.
It took us 2 Hannahs to get the bed, but, you know.
Yeah, oh, come on.
His father lives 2 houses up from me.
Huh?
His father lives 2 houses up from me.
Okay, next item on the
Board for-
agenda, flying right along here, is a notice of intent for a new hearing, sorry, notice of intent
I went to school with like 5 Paterzos.
for 621 Rentham Road. Demolition of an existing home and driveway extension to a new single-family home which will impact boarding vegetated wetland, BVW, and buffer zone to BVW. Dwyer Properties, am I mispronouncing that? Dwyer, okay, thank you. As the applicant, and Brandon Fenouf? Fenouf, thank you, is the a representative from Ecosystem Solutions. Welcome.
Thank you. Again, Brandon Fanoff, longtime listener, first-time caller.
Okay. Welcome.
Thank you.
So if you'd like to briefly go over the scope we have, do you want to, Hannah, do you think you can call up the one of the plans there?
Sure, yeah,
Bradley?
they actually have updated plans.
Oh,
that
okay.
We just got today, so I didn't have a chance to get those.
The
in
ink's
there,
still
but-
fresh.
Well, we just met yesterday, so I think that was done in lightning speed, actually.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Why you always like to get things in advance, we also like to have accurate information to deal with at the time we're talking,
Yeah,
so
I can
that's,
share that with
this is a good trade-off. Cool. You'll share this one, so you guys want to pass that along then?
Portal won't let me in again.
Yeah,
Tell me about that, because I get
quickly,
it.
the revisions were to the wetland boundary based on Hannah's observations. So, I met Hannah yesterday and agreed to all of the changes she recommended.
Okay. Thank you, yeah. Long, very skinny piece of property, looks even longer and skinnier on the
It is very
Perfect.
long and skinny. It's 3.8 acres.
3.8, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks bigger than it really is, but just because it's so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, the shape factor was a little,
But would it meet today's
wacky.
zoning standards? Probably not.
No.
Okay. So it's about 1,200 feet west of the town line with Rentham on Rentham Road. Again, 3.8 acres. There is a small, kind of schlumpy-looking green ranch house near the road that has seen better days.
Judging from the word schlumpy, I would assume so, yes, okay.
Yes. There's nobody living there right now. It appears that it's been abandoned for some time, and when doing the wetland delineation, we made the determination that when the house was built pre-Wetlands Protection Act, it looks like it was built at least partially in the swamp, which obviously wouldn't be allowed today. So it's still a legitimate buildable lot, up for sale, so Dwyer Properties decided that maybe this was not the best place to rebuild the house. Being a very long lot, though, there is viable upland in the more rear part of the property that is much better suited for development. So our proposal to you tonight is to get back to that, be able to get back to that more suitable land in the rear of the property. The problem is that it's going to require a 500 square foot wetland crossing in order to do it. I believe it's still the better option than rebuilding on the current spot because there are 2 wetland flags that touch the back of the house as it is today. So if you were gonna rebuild, you'd have to rebuild almost on top of the road, which I don't think is good for anyone. On this property, there are no estimated or priority habitats of rare and endangered species. It's not in an area of critical environmental concern. There's no outstanding resource waters, no vernal pools in the area of proposed construction or the wetland replication. There's no floodplain. There are no perennial streams in the areas, no zone 1 or 2 wellhead protection areas or interim wellhead protection areas. And stormwater doesn't apply under the state law because it's a single-family house. What we're proposing to do is do this wetland replication. At the same time, we'll do the wetland replication in the area where the house is to be torn down, which technically is a wetland replication, but it's really gonna end up being more of a wetland restoration from what it was like, 50-plus years ago when the house was built. So, in order to do the replication, which meets the performance standards of NCMR 10.554B, we're going to do a 1,000 square foot replication area, which is 2-to-1 ratio. And have a pipe that goes underneath the driveway in order to keep the hydrologic connection between the two sides of the wetland, so it stays connected. And basically be able to get a house into the rear, it's along, it's more like the center of the site. So with that, that's the view from 10,000 feet. If you have any
Let's
questions.
pause and see if the commission has some thoughts or questions.
I don't see a detail, I see the detail on the plan, I don't see a detail inside on the height.
In the cross-section now?
Ah, yes, thank you.
Yeah,
12-inch?
Yep.
yeah, we think that's
Kind of
adequate for this
construction
spot.
RCP.
There's no,
Two of them,
there's no
right?
stream.
It's two 12-inch, not just the one.
Yeah.
Where are you getting that?
The last page of the NOI package.
Two right next to each other, or, I mean, the plan only shows sort of one.
Yeah, side by each.
Okay.
How long is the driveway that's gonna be put in?
Good question. I mean, actually,
When you mentioned the 500 foot for the impact, I was thinking also impact impervious surfaces being added to the site by the driveway. I assume it's a paved driveway, not gonna be a pervious driveway?
Gravel.
It says proposed
supposed to be
gravel.
gravel, yes.
Okay, well, I wasn't sure if that was just a top coat gravel or just, full gravel.
Gravel,
So
gravel.
that would not qualify as impervious? I mean, gravel has not.
Well, it's 307 feet from the corner of the house to the edge of the property, so it's it's a 300-ish foot long driveway.
By, whatever, 10 feet wide or whatever?
20 feet?
Is it 20 feet wide?
20 feet?
Sounds about right.
Really? 20 foot wide driveway?
10 feet.
Like
Oh,
10
10
feet.
feet.
Well, with-
I was gonna say, 20 foot wide driveway is a really wide driveway.
With the
Let's see here.
shoulders, it's probably, it's a little bit more than that.
Yeah, it looks
See,
like
The
12.
top,
12 foot, there's a
Top
12 foot
one is-
ADS I'm
Top
seeing
one
on,
says 20,
Right.
bottom one says 10.
and a little ways down on the plan that Don's looking at here, it says 12
Yeah.
foot
where does it say 20 on the front?
ADS. What's ADS on the plan, right, on the driveway? What do we think that would stand for?
Oh, that might be a pipe that's coming across.
Oh, no, yeah, that's
That's a
the
12
drainage
inch.
line, never
Yeah,
mind, that's the
yep.
12-inch drainage line. It's not 12 foot, it's 12 inch,
It
this
says
print's so
10.
small, it's hard to read. Sorry, okay, so we don't have an actual, but I was curious about that.
Oh, yeah.
So, and is the driveway up by the house also gonna be gravel, or is it gonna be paved up right around the house, but just the length of the driveway is
This one,
gravel?
we're proposing gravel all the way through.
To the house, okay.
And it looks like there's wetlands right here,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't see it on this side, so is it being raised up in elevation?
Slightly.
You talking about the driveway?
Yeah,
or
the
whole-
driveway
Oh, the wet's
itself.
on both sides.
Buffer area, 100 feet.
Looking for, oh, there's
Yeah,
wetlands
yeah,
vegetation
it
markers
comes
on this side
into
over here. yeah.
Right, you're right,
Okay.
yep.
Okay.
Wow, that's a lot of
What's
wetlands.
What's the bylaw for percent upland versus for residential lots?
Oh, they've got way more.
90,
Oh, they've got way more.
90.
Oh, yeah, because.
So you meet the 90, 10.
Oh, this
whatever.
all.
Yeah,
this all
but it was like,
count,
isn't it
yeah,
like 90,
yeah.
10?
Yeah, they're not.
Upland
there's-
versus
Yeah, there's no,
wetlands
I don't think- I don't
quantities
think-
you need to have on a site
No,
for residential.
this site, because it's so large.
Okay. You already answered the question I had about replication, 2 to 1. Additional questions? Observations, James?
How are utilities getting from the road to the house?
We currently do not have them proposed in the driveway, so it's a good question. At this point, the idea is to do telephone poles. And to do that, we can, obviously, we won't have to put a telephone pole in the wetland. We can put the poles around 100 feet apart on either side. So there will be no additional clearing of vegetation or trees required to do that.
This is the one, I'm trying to remember, I booked a couple things on the programs. This is the one that has about 13 trees total, I think. There was a list of trees, okay. A couple of them were 36-something inch trees. That's a huge tree, diameter tree.
There's some big pines in there.
And I was wondering if they're pines or oak or,
And the water's gonna run up in the driveway, in the driveway? Okay.
the water line, as opposed
Yeah,
to
yeah.
flooding.
No, the water lines,
We
yes.
said water, I was wondering if
Yeah,
they're publicly not thinking, oh, we're encouraging people to
Potable,
flow down the
potable
driveway.
water supply,
And there may
yes.
be additional trees taken out that are now considered in the buffer zone because it got pushed out a little bit from the extra wetland flags we added, so might be some additional trees.
There's someone from the audience who's asking.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to see if any commission members have any questions, then I'll open it up to anybody. I'll be right with you, sir, just to make sure the commission has a chance to ask. Steve? Yes? Ariane, do you have anything online there?
Nope.
Okay.
Do we have a planting, schedule and monitoring period for the,
Yes, we do.
Replication.
It's a 2-year,
Mhm.
two growing season monitoring period. The narrative for the replication report is in the NOI package.
Right, I saw that, yeah.
we usually do 3, don't we?
I've seen
Just
the
the
last two
life-
things we just did. were
Just the life of the permit.
Beg pardon?
Like the life of the permit is just, I think what we've done,
But
which would be the
That's
3.
fine,
Yeah.
that's job
Yeah.
security for me.
The other thing is, we didn't, as we did for one of the ones we just saw, we had like 75% failure rate mentioned in the, during the 3-year period or filling. That was, I don't think, in this one was just to make sure it was monitored. Do we want to start specifying, I'm asking the commission, not saying it. Do we want to specify percentage of failure rate before it's required that something be done, like 75%?
Oh, I thought that was in there.
Well, it's in some, but it's not in all of them. So I just want to get consistent. If we're going to say 2-year period or 3-year period, we can also say something at the same time about with
Yeah,
a
we should have
not to exceed
we should
rate.
have a metric in there,
Yeah, I'm in
So
favor of
since
that.
this is right
a
now,
failure metric. We've had them in the past, so you
Yeah,
might be able to go back.
I think that the guidelines for replication and buffer plantings is typically the 2-year monitoring period, 75% survivorship of cover is like going by the guidance that DEP has put out.
DEPs,
We've
that's
always,
DEP
we've
guys.
always done 3.
Okay.
So, again, I'll
Might be
leave it up to the
overkill,
commission,
but-
whatever way you want to, whatever way someone wants to make a motion and make that part of the
Yeah.
NOI. If they are going to make a motion for the NOI, then that's something we can certainly add at this time. Ariane, do you have any thoughts about that? The
No,
replication?
I'm good.
Okay. Pam? Okay. Any
The
other?
driveway does also, beyond the actual disturbance of the crossing itself, as you move further south, we are well inside the 25 for a ways. So there's gonna be considerable from the crossing all the way down to the 50-foot line, which is back in here. We're gonna have considerable 25-foot disturbances.
With the new driveway?
Oh, yeah.
Pipeline and so forth, yeah.
On both sides.
Right.
Stretching out from the actual area disturbance, we're gonna have additional permanent buffer zone impacts within the
Was
25,
that
50,
captured
and
in
the
the
100.
application? I'm sure it is. There's a line for that, how
Yeah,
permanent impact
there's a 25, 50, and 100 foot.
But it may
impacts.
have been altered from the additional wetland bump out, so some
Right.
of those numbers might be,
Right, there's a wetland finger on the left side that Hannah wanted noted on the plan. It's a little St. Spring seep area.
Is that BD9 or
Yeah, the
B9D?
9A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
So that's that finger that pushes out,
Yeah, the line originally went straight through, but Hannah,
went from 9 to 10?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that whole 9 letter series,
Yeah, it's a little finger
And
like
that-
was action coming from a.
so that increases, I mean, that increases the amount of impacts in the 25 considerably, which is concerning.
It is concerning, but what is the alternative? The alternative is to try to continue to build up front with the houses touching the BBW. There's also a circular driveway up front where the lawn is,
Mm-hmm.
that is slated to be abandoned as well. So that's a little bit of mitigation. If there's other forms of mitigation that the commission would like to see to help offset the impacts in the 25-foot zone, we are open to suggestions.
Do you know how much it might change between what Hannah and you have agreed to recently with the revision of the wetlands delineation from what was on the original NOI application for impacted areas? If we look at those numbers on the application, is it going to change dramatically?
I don't think it's gonna change dramatically. It's gonna change some.
Is it an order of magnitude, or is it just, a 10% kind of thing, in your opinion? So if we look at those numbers now, we'd have a sense of, it's gonna be more than this or less than this, but not hugely, and so we can quantify a little bit, because as Neil was saying, this is gonna impact a substantial area, but I don't have that number on the application, the NOI in front of me, so I don't know whether we're talking 10,000
Yeah,
square
we
feet or.
haven't re-examined the numbers for impact in the buffer zone. I was focusing on trying to find the most narrow spot to do the wetland crossing, and luckily with the wetland finger, after meeting with Hannah, I thought we were gonna have 2 crossings. We were able to avoid that, so I was very happy about having to do a second crossing on the finger. But if you need me to quantify the impacts in the buffer zone for another meeting, I can.
Based on the current delineations that
Yeah,
you've
and
agreed to.
I would like to suggest in that calculation, rerun the calcs
Mhm.
with the new delineation. But as to your suggestion, what would we gain by doing restoration on the front of the lot within the 50, to the extent practical? What would the offset?
Well, it's a house and lawn up front
Right,
that is partially slated for replication, which is,
right, but in the other,
we can do
So the-
restoration.
to the west side of the driveway in front between the replication area and the street, in the stockpile area, possibly removing the lawn and revegetating to some extent those areas, to look at it that way as kind of an offset to the impacts further south along the edge of the driveway. We might be able to
I understand what you're saying.
trade some of that. We pick up a little on the front, lose a little along the edge
Mhm.
of the driveway, but there might be some mitigation there.
So are we in agreement that the stated 500 square foot disturbance is short?
That's the area of wetland disturbance, not the area of buffer. The buffer zone impacts are going to be different.
That's along the length of the driveway as opposed to the
Yeah,
crossing area.
because of the way this
The
now,
wetlands are different too compared to the old plan.
yeah.
Right,
I
okay.
mean,
Right, it got bumped out a little bit on the east side, which would be the right side of your page. You know, about an average
But
of 10
I think
feet.
looking at trying to balance what we could pick up in the front as opposed to what the impacts that are going to be down because of the wetland
Yeah,
finger
and I
extension.
think that's a great idea, because there's gonna be more impact in the buffer zone coming through the woods. On the other side, you know, on the south side of the wetland, and we have a lawn up in front by the road that's really probably not gonna get used.
And a circular driveway you
And a
mentioned.
circular driveway that can go.
And the old house foundation, which you've already calculated for
We've
getting rid of
already
that.
calculated that, but whatever more we can do in the front to help restore and perhaps plant, get rid of the driveway, get rid of the lawn, turn it back into a natural environment as much as possible to offset that impact, I can, yeah, absolutely.
That might be a good trade.
Let me pause, gentlemen in the audience, you have a question, sir?
Yeah, if you want to know anything about that piece of land, I used to be the owner of it.
Okay.
And that building was put up in 51 or 52, which was, I don't know if there was any bylaws back then, but it was an ice cream stand at one time. And I own a spring that's about 40 feet away from their property, which is 8 by 10 by 7 feet deep. And in the summertime, I pump about 4,000 gallons of water out of that area, which is part of that same area. Before the building was put there, I used to ice skate over there, because that's how wet that area was.
Interesting.
And from the spring, there is wooden pipes that runs from the spring up to Lake Street. There used to be a farm on the corner called Measurel's Farm. He had a big barn. The house is still there, the three-family house on the corner of Lake Street and Renton Road. But there's wooden pipes that runs up to that area. Water from.
Interesting. And you say you have a spring, or sounds like a well almost, that is 40 feet away?
It was put there maybe 200 or 300 years ago.
So you are a butter to that property right now? We would currently own some property next to that
Yeah,
site you used to
I own
own?
20 feet up to the house that's there now.
20 feet from the road towards the house?
On my side of the land, I own,
Are you on the east side or the west side?
what would be, I don't know, the east or
Towards Rentham or towards Bellingham?
towards Bellingham, towards the postman.
Okay, so you're on the west, that'd be the west side if it's facing north, yeah.
But I do own 20 feet away from that
Yeah.
existing building now.
Okay, yeah, I think we see something on the plans here, might be indicating,
Yeah.
You're right on that side, right?
Zero line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Campos and
Are
Arnold?
you saying that you have rights to water in that property?
Well, the town used to, I guess, at one time. I don't know how that is fixed up.
Could be anyone's guess.
Well, I'm also thinking about pumping water out of a resource area.
Well, that's not,
But it's not
we're not,
in-
that's not what we're talking about here.
I know, I just. Water, we're talking about water in general. Okay, so, thank you, sir, that's helpful to know, and if the current applicant has any questions, he knows he can reach out to you if he doesn't already know who you are, that's helpful. Additional questions or comments from the commission on this?
So there's a stockpile area shown in the front yard. Is there gonna be a net loss or net fill from this, excluding the gravel? I understand that's coming on site, but site grade.
Also making, I can ask the engineer.
Okay. I assume it would be a net loss with a stockpile area, because if you're bringing stuff in, you probably don't need to put it anywhere if you're putting it in place, but
And you're talking specifically in relationship to the driveway?
the site as a whole, I'm not sure.
Anything gonna be trucked off-site, or is it gonna be
Right.
kept on-site?
Right.
And just
Right, well,
the
Are you
existing
building up a
cutting and filling?
platform
is-
where the house is going, or are you using existing grade, I guess?
Right, well, the house is, the grade lines around the house, comes up, see, 4, comes up 4 feet in that area.
Yeah.
Compared to the existing grades, see, 250, so it's coming up another 2 feet in the area of the septic system. In the house, not so much, 260.
And it perked well?
Yeah, I see there's test pits.
As far as I know, yes.
Because it seems shown just off the plan, just to the west is big
Yeah, ledge
outcrop of
around.
ledge, so
Yeah.
could be kind of bony.
Okay.
I'd want to see those revised.
Yeah.
Revised calculations on the buffer zone and what they could offset with restoration, I mean, not replication, restoration in the front.
Restoration, okay.
All right, so, Mr. Chairman, to recap, just so we're all on the same page. I've
That's
got
fine.
Four action items. One of the things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have them put in estimated telephone pole locations. Is that all right?
Mhm.
We're gonna recalc the impact in the buffer zone, specifically focusing on the south side of the driveway where the wetland line changed. And then we're gonna make every attempt to restore the buffer zone in the north end by the Rentham Road, including removing the remnants of the circular driveway in order to offset impacts to the buffer zone on the south side of the crossing. And I will get an answer to you as whether or not there'll be a net loss of gain of material for the site as a whole.
Any other
Yes.
points that the commission thinks should be covered?
I would say when you talk to National Grid about the poles, ask them what it would take to do just an underground service. You're gonna be running a water line anyway. Yeah. Then you don't have a chance of a tree coming down on it.
I agree. It tends to be a little more expensive though.
Yeah, no, understood.
So, really, I think everybody would do underground.
Oh, yeah.
If it
Was there mention earlier about two pipes instead of one underneath the driveway?
Yes.
Yes, there's gonna be two
Two 12s.
12-inch pipes.
Yeah, the plan's not clear on the front page of the plan that there's two pipes there.
I'll add that.
Yeah, it says 12-inch ADS. The second page does show, the second page also,
the
James
20
pointed out,
and 10,
there's a bit of a typo where one roadway detail shows it 20 feet wide and the other one shows it 10 feet wide.
On sheet two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on sheet two, there's just a little bit of a typo there.
Confirmation of that would be nice. I assume the pipes are gonna be embedded? At least a little
They're
bit?
gonna be circular culvert pipes,
Right, not just placed on grade, they're gonna be embedded in.
partially embedded,
Okay.
yes.
Can we have a cross-section of that if you have a detail of it?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir, you had another question?
Yeah, seeing that's all uphill, it's gonna be a gravel driveway, from what I understand. Which way is the water gonna be shed off?
To which side, you mean, as
Yeah.
opposed to down?
Both?
I'm asking you.
It's gonna, based on the topography here, the wetland drains towards the road to the north and west.
So, as you're going up the driveway towards Rentham Road, it would be to the west, which is to the right, and towards the Rentham Road, that the water's gonna drain.
If you're looking in from the road.
Okay, if you're looking into the road,
Yeah.
okay. So it's gonna drain to the west and back towards Rentham Road, because it is going uphill, as you said, to the upland in the back of the site. Yeah, did I have any question, sir?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just that we don't want, it's a bad area, there's always water going over the road to start off with, and, it's a nice ice skating ring in the wintertime.
Sure.
I have more cars on my front lawn than,
That don't belong to you.
yeah.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. Okay, that's a good point.
So I have a question. How do we ensure that, as you're putting in a gravel driveway, that the gravel isn't going to end up in the wetlands?
We start with the erosion sedimentation controls,
That's when you're working it, but,
when you're working it, right.
You mean after it's been in
yeah,
place?
you
Snow
know,
removal?
snow removal, just driving up and down the driveway, gravels, heavy rains, floods.
The owner of the house should buy themselves some type of tractor like I have, because I keep pushing my driveway back up the hill.
I'm just concerned about, the potential for the gravel to end up in the wetlands,
Also,
2 years
given
later.
the location, although this is not paved, so you wouldn't be treating it the same way as you would a paved driveway of this length going through wetlands and resource area, buffer zone areas. Chemical treatments would be something that would be more of a concern, but I assume in a gravel driveway, you're not gonna be salting it or anything like that because you are going right.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. So I wouldn't bring it up as a point of concern right now, but
I salted my gravel driveway for years.
I can see future owners coming back wanting to pave it.
Yeah, so, I
We've seen
mean,
it before.
whatever conditions, again, as a notice of intent, if you guys want to indicate at this time, or if you want to do that, but at the next, I'm sorry, after we continue this to the next meeting, sounds like what we want to do. Any other?
Actually, we could probably condition a prohibition on paving that driveway ever.
Think about that, yeah, we can think about that over the next 2 weeks and bring that back to the next meeting. I will, if there's no other discussion on this particular one, I will accept a motion to continue this hearing to the evening of February 26th at 7 PM. This continued notice of intent hearing with the agenda items that have been discussed by Brandon, and any other comments that the commission might want to make at that point in time to bring back as far as conditions and other things that they can give some thought to. But I'll accept a motion to continue if someone wants to make it.
So moved.
Thank you, Ariane. Second, Amy?
Second.
Pam, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Okay. Hearing and seeing. Wait for the vote.
Gotta vote.
Neil?
Aye.
Ariane?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
Pam? Steve?
Aye.
Mike, aye. Okay, unanimous vote. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving along here.
Brandon, you ever worked down in Mattapoisett?
I'm their agent.
I thought I've met you before, I think, yeah.
Who are you with?
Everford. Was down there last year, I think we met
For
first.
the meeting at the
Firehouse?
firehouse?
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
Good to see you again.
See you too.
Okay, we'll continue on with the next continued hearing, which is an ANRAD for 180 Payne Street. Mr. Madden, come on up.
He's the agent in Mattapoisett.
Yes, this is for 180 Payne Street, Rentham Road, Bound Road, 585 Rentham Road.
He's a good guy.
Continue hearing for a confirming the demarcated boundaries of the bordering vegetated wetlands, BVW, isolated vegetated
What's
wetlands,
his plan?
bank to intermittent streams, and bank mean annual high water to Bungay Brook. NECC Holdings is the applicant, and Brian Madden from LEC is once again here for us as the representative for the non-restoration cut area part, which will be later in the agenda.
Very last.
What's that?
That one's very last.
Yes, yes. So,
Odd
Brian,
seeing you
why
without
don't
your
you
entourage.
lay out your delineation there as you have, or demarcation as you put it on this application?
Yes, thank you very much. Brian Madden from LEC Environmental Consultants. Good to see everyone. So we had initially filed this back at end of September and with initial presentation October 9th. The project was went under extensive peer review at PSC. I see Amanda Smith on the Zoom. We also more recently, in mid-January, after trying to chase down a DEP file number, got some comments back from DEP with some questions that we had submitted a supplemental letter that went into the commission on Friday, this past Friday. I believe we've addressed all the questions and concerns. I'd be happy to go through that in more detail, or really how the commission would like to proceed forward. I could give a full summary or keep it to the highlights.
Well, since this is the first time we're really getting into this one, having dealt with the other issue that you were attending to on the site there, I'm of the mind that given the size of the site and the DEP comments and so forth and scope of what will be probably need to be followed up on, that not diving into too much depth at this point in time would be a good thing, plus which with the agenda that's being as full as it is, I really don't want to allocate a really long period of time. But if the commission has a specific point that they've seen in the information that's been provided in the portal that they think would be pertinent to bring up right now at the beginning before an overview, please let me know so we can have that brought up by, or addressed by Brian.
So who did the wetland delineation?
LEC did.
Okay, because the wetland exhibit that's on here
Yep.
is by Feldman Geospatial on a plan submitted by Bowler.
Yeah, the wetland exhibit we created, we had talked about that previously. It's just kind of a graphical presentation. It's not intended to be a plan of record of any sorts. We have the full plan set that's been revised a couple times that Feldman Geospatial, PLS, I'm not even gonna bother pulling this out.
No,
because
don't.
there's so
That's
much
fine.
line work and, everything to review on that, but the, wetland exhibit just shows, this is a 388 acre parcel, 338 parcel. You know, with a lot of wetlands out there, a lot of different resource areas, I'd be happy, I have extra copies. I know you have this electronically, but, be happy to walk through it and give more detail, but there's, you know, just a broad overview, and, you know, I think I touched upon this back in October, but the site basically from the Rhode Island border on the south end, Socket, where it's very commercialized, as we all know, basically all descends from that point down to the south towards Bungay Brook. There's a series of intermittent streams that go through the property, some of which merge and converge and continue to flow downhill. There's a number of isolated wetlands on site, as well as vernal pools. We identified 3 this past spring that we conducted the vernal pool assessments. There was one that we found late in May that was dry at the time, but seemingly has the physical characteristics, holds standing water. So we are committed to going back out there this spring and doing a vernal pool assessment and submitting that to the commission, the findings of that, the summary report. I think maybe June 1st, we'd submit that report by, and that could be conditioned into the ORAD if amenable by the commission. The applicant does not currently own the parcels, so similar to other instances with the commission, we'd request that the vernal pool certification be tied into a future development project that would be approved by the commission. You know, as I stated in the letter, we've talked about this in the past in other instances, that the bylaw enables the commission to treat potential vernal pools as certified vernal pools, and you know, even if they're not certified by natural heritage. You know, there's also floodplain on the property associated with Bungay Brook. Site plans go into detail on the varying elevations, basically descending from east to west as it flows downhill. Those are all FEMA mapped areas with certain base flood elevations. That was one of DEP's comments, that it was on the plans, but maybe wasn't like as crystal clear, given all the print and line work out there, that we kind of heightened the clarity of that, the changing elevation, base flood elevations across the flood zone, and added a BLSF label to the flood zone boundary. We had also provided some supplemental information on some of the isolated wetlands, whether or not they qualify as state isolated land subject to flooding. We had the engineers run all the calcs for those, and either, you know, they're too small or just don't have the volume to meet that quarter-acre foot for standing water. But they all do qualify as ILSF under the local bylaw, which doesn't have any size or volume requirements. DP had also asked about some of the intermittent stream status. We ran stream stats on the 3 primary intermittent streams that run south-north across the property and discharge into Bungay Brook. Only one of those intermittent streams is shown on the USGS, the current USGS topographic map. It's a 2024 map that was included within the initial ANRAD application. The other 2 aren't shown, but we were able to run stream stats on them. They all proved to be, they don't meet the perennial qualifications, therefore they're all intermittent. But yeah, circling back to BSC's review, they were out there quite a bit. Obviously a lot of flags to review, and you know, we had made some revisions based on their requests, and all of which we agreed with, and we provided that summary report going into all the detail. And they had also submitted their final report, and I'm sure Amanda can speak to that, but basically confirming that the boundaries were accurately flagged as revised and requested. And they had a similar recommendation on the vernal pool certification that DEP did, and just reiterated DEP's comments. And I've talked long enough, so.
Thank you. That's a pretty good overview. I think it's capturing it. I know that in looking at the report from BSC that Ethan Sneesby, is that how I say it, Amanda? Okay, had been out to the site or worked on some stuff in the office like 5 times, so he was probably pretty familiar with the site. It did sound like in the reports that I saw as he went out time after time that he was catching up to what you guys had done to make changes, and seemed to be pretty satisfied at the end there. Amanda, would you like to chime in and see what input you'd like to provide at this point?
No, I didn't have any additional comments.
Sounded
That was all
accurate? Okay. Just want to make sure you get a chance to say something. The commission perhaps has seen a chance, has had a chance to review the BSC recommendations and points, and I think Brian did capture them pretty much. I was making notes as I went along here. Another vernal pool being reviewed in spring. That was the 4th of the ones on site that had either been identified or potentially identified, and the delineations being adjusted. I didn't realize that 3 streams cross north to south on that site. Just the way the slope goes and so forth. It's hard to picture, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Commission have additional questions at this point in time?
No, I do not.
Observations. I think one of the questions would be, how helpful would it be to, at some point in time, not for delineation, if the delineation has been identified and we're comfortable with BSC's verification of the delineation of the wetlands lines, that the site just be walked at some point in time by commission members who are not familiar with the site and or the scope? And
I think
when,
walk in, excuse me, an explanation of what we're seeing when we're out there in the future.
Brian, you know the site better than us for sure. What would your sense of both timing and the nature / scope of a walk for the commission, sort of a overview, not focused on a particular wetland line or something like we've done in the past many times on sidewalks with your group? What are you thinking would be helpful for us?
Yeah, so I think we touched upon it previously. You know, there will be a notice of intent being filed in the next few months, hopefully. You know, that site visit could be tied into that application. I think that would sync up well in the spring. Be a good time to get eyes on the property. Yeah, I think we hopefully at that point in time would have some information on that 4th vernal pool as well we can share with the commission.
Yeah, I would agree that probably when the NOI is forthcoming, then we'll be able to go out and see what areas specifically are impacted.
How long can we go from an ANRAD to an NOI, timing-wise, for?
ANRAD's good for what, 3 years?
Yeah, I believe so.
So we do an ORAD for the ANRAD, water resource area delineation, perhaps. I think that, didn't you mention that just a minute ago? You'd hoped in the ORAD that we would be able to, if that was approved, do something. I don't remember what the actual
The vernal pool certification.
The vernal pool
So, you know,
Right.
crystal ball, if we were able at the end of the day to get an order of conditions, then we would certify all the pools at that point in time.
Right.
Prior to the start of work of that approval.
I just want to make sure we don't have any time issues with delaying until spring for.
No, because we could, we're gonna stipulate that they're vernal pools, so.
Right. No.
Provided there's some evidence to back that up at this point.
To make, to wait to go to an NI, obviously the applicant has to do it at their timing, but to go from where we are with the ANRAD to the next step where we were waiting for a NOI to actually come forth in the next couple of months, is there anything else that we need to do timing-wise to meet
Well, if
filing
we do a
deadlines?
site visit as a function of an NOI, are we gonna want peer review there with us?
It's up to the commission. If we're looking at delineations and so forth, I think perhaps if we just want to get a sense of the site, or what?
Evidence of vernal pool.
Right, well, that's gonna take somebody who really knows vernal pools, I mean, because say, this sort of looks like a vernal pool to me, and you guys say the same
I
thing
think
too.
it's gonna be dependent on what's proposed, because if
Yeah.
the impacts are limited in nature, I'm not sure we'll need that. So I mean, I think we're speculating pretty far out right now.
And that was something that DEP mentioned in their comments, and Amanda from BSC mentioned, that if they're doing impacts in other areas that haven't been, like, there's some internal wetland types, like bank, that are internal and stuff, that if they are proposing impacts in those areas, that we might need peer review to, go over
Right.
that. But
yeah.
seemed like there wasn't too many outstanding issues. It seems like they addressed pretty much everything that BSC and DEP had brought up in the review.
Are you involved in what will be the NOI, Brian?
Yes, yeah, I don't want to get too far down the road
Yeah,
here,
no.
but, it's, in all likelihood, any sort of development out there is going to need some stormwater peer review that I think is going to morph into, a peer review with this commission, so. I don't want to be too speculative, but, knowing how the commission operates.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do kind of-
And there's obviously a lot of liquid flowing across the site, so
Yeah.
stormwater is
It's a wet
probably
site.
gonna be a thing.
Exactly.
Okay. So where do we go from here with the ANRAD? Get the motion
We
to,
can, motion to approve it?
if the commission is so moved. And then just wait for that one. I just wait for that one.
Yeah.
Commission have any other thoughts or questions about the proposed ANRAD? From Brian? Based on what we talked about at the future sidewalk, sorry, ma'am?
Yes, I appreciate that you guys do this all the time, but we don't, so.
Sure.
We're butters, and we'd like to understand your approval tonight of accepting the delineation plan. Does that mean that the wetlands have been pretty much agreed upon in all the vernal pools and all of that? And that this procedure tonight is to accept that these have all been flagged properly and that we've identified the areas that shouldn't be disturbed or that would have factors impacting development? Is that the purpose of tonight's vote?
For the ANRAD, it's for area of resource delineation. So yes, in answer to at least part of your question, if I'm understanding right, and if somebody disagrees in the commission, let me know. But that we feel the applicant has, in conjunction with the peer reviewer who we have working for us, agreed upon delineation of resource areas that they are going to be currently, with their current scope, impacting. If they change the scope down the road and they come to us with a notice of intent in 2 months and the scope has changed and they're working in another area, there's another resource area, some internal areas, as Hannah mentioned, with banks and so forth, that haven't been fully explored, that will require another peer review, which again would require some agreement with a consultant potentially, as BSC is for us, and the applicant to make sure that we agree with whatever other changes have happened. But for the scope of what they have reviewed and the flags and the delineation of wetlands and so forth, not the vernal pools per se, because those still need to be, at least one of them needs to be certified and or reviewed in the spring that we're not sure of, but there are 3 other ones. Those potentially would all be certified by the Bellingham bylaws, that we can certify them, even if they're not officially a vernal pool according to the state or somebody, we can certify them, that we can give a higher level of protection. So I guess the answer is, for the scope that's being proposed, this hearing and this approval of the ANRAD would be for agreeing that the delineation of the wetland resource areas is accurate, and that will be in the plans going forward, or in the planning process going forward for the applicant. And we would not be disputing, this line versus that line for flags, because it's been reviewed. Does that capture it fairly for everybody in the commission? Anybody else want to elucidate it? Yeah. Amanda, does that capture things pretty well for you, right? Because you were the one doing the.
Short answer is
That-
yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
short, long answer.
Yes, the short answer is yes.
Well, no, I appreciate that. So if they change the scope and decide to move structures or development into other parts of the project that haven't been identified here, then they would have to come back again.
Right, and no structures and so forth have been scoped out yet. We're just saying, where's the wetlands, so that they know how far they'd have to be when they come back with specific plans for a notice of intent and/or a bigger project.
And this is the first step in them developing those next set of plans to where they want to develop and what they want to
What
do.
the
So,
setbacks
yeah,
are,
this
how
is,
far
this
away.
is step one. There's a whole lot of more steps before shovel goes in the ground.
Yeah.
And then one follow-up question, notice provisions, because abutters didn't get notice of this meeting. Is this because it's just continued? How does that work? How do abutters get noticed of these meetings? That's why we have such a small crowd.
Well, a notice of intent will require that the applicant notify everyone within 100 feet.
But, I mean, we're right next
Right,
door.
right, yeah, right. So you would be notified when they come back to us with a notice of
This
intent.
meeting was
What,
not.
no, once the hearing is, once the hearing starts, you're notified of the first hearing. After that,
You're supposed to look at the agenda.
you keep an eye on our website
what we
and the
did.
agenda,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
don't
think
get
that-
notified.
That's how it moves forward. You don't get a separate notification of every meeting.
If
so.
you hadn't been notified for the first hearing about this particular process, then that would be a concern because the applicant's required to keep proof of that they've sent out certified notifications. But
Understood, but the burden is now on the abutters to keep
Yes.
track of when this is next coming on the agenda.
Correct.
until such time that they come back with notice of intent, which would be a new
They'll
thing.
get a separate notice on the notice of intent.
Thank
And
you.
then after that initial notification, then it's on you to stay informed.
And it could be a couple months from now or whatever. But again, the town website and the Conservation Commission website, if anybody has a problem, you can reach out to Hannah. You know, if you can't see something on there, you're concerned that you haven't seen anything for a while on the agenda, and she can keep you posted on.
So this hearing tonight will end this public notice comment that we received the initial notice for, so if
For the
there's another-
ANRAD, yes.
For the ANRAD.
Yes, if it's
Because
closed
the
and,
initial notice was for the ANRAD.
yes.
Correct.
So once this is voted and approved today, if there's another meeting in front of this commission, it would have to be noticed again to the abutters.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions from anybody out there? Good, thank you for asking this.
The peer review is commenting on missing flags. Were they replaced?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Amanda's nodding her head yes. I think I saw something in there that Ethan had seen them.
Probably a
done
lot of tape,
replacement.
huh?
Golfers were taking, or I don't know what was
Oh,
going
yeah.
on. Souvenirs.
Squirrels.
Squirrels. Yeah, I think that was done, Steve. Any other questions?
Just a point of clarification question, the fourth potential vernal pool, so approving this doesn't have an impact on that? Because it's not identified here where that
Yeah,
could be?
Oh, yeah,
it's
no, it is
the
in
B-series pool, it's very centrally
V1 through 8,
located.
following further investigation in the spring, specifically March through
Yeah,
May will be
so
reviewed. That's what
V1.
BSC's comments, I was
Okay.
trying to.
Yeah,
So it is mentioned there,
okay.
so I think it answered your question.
Yep, it does.
It doesn't
Yep.
exclude this from being
Right.
considered vernal pool in the spring.
Thank you.
Okay. Hannah?
The
Please.
only thing I just want to clarify before it gets closed out is BSC had recommended pursuing official certification, and then the response was that you will conduct a vernal pool assessment in spring for that one extra one, but not requesting certification for current, because they don't own the property, but not currently requesting certification from Natural Heritage Program.
Yeah, tying that into a future order of conditions, which we've done on other projects. Yeah, I view it as they're vernal pools until proven otherwise. And the bylaw, again, enables that level of protection.
Just wanted to clarify.
Where this might be out of, no, I don't think it's out of line. Where are they in acquiring the property? Do you know? In
I
that
don't
process.
know the whole structure, but if I could guess, it's probably post-permit issuance.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I will accept a motion if someone wants to make one about the ANRAD.
I move
Issue
to,
an order of resource delineation.
Say again, Ariane, you got cut off partway through.
To issue an order of resource area delineation.
Yes.
So moved.
Any other conditions or thoughts?
Second,
or-
you're gonna need a second.
Yeah, second.
Second.
Thank you, Neil. All right, any other conditions or thoughts to go with that were elucidated? I think we just did agree that we had things pretty well covered, but I want to make sure the commission doesn't have anything
We're
else.
conditioning the V-Series assessment as part of this, or is that going in? Okay.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was
That's what I think what Hannah was doing.
clarifying.
So
The
at this time,
assessment
we'll
was
mention that
and then
the
only
V
other
series
question-
of delineation for the vernal pools will be as part of this condition for the NRAD.
And then the only other condition was they weren't
For the NOI.
getting
Yeah.
certification of that other portion
Right,
of
'cause
the
they don't
report.
own-
So I'll
they
just
don't
make
own
sure
it.
that's in there as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, colleagues? All right, I'll take a vote. James?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Pam?
Aye.
Ariane?
Aye.
Neil?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Mike? Aye. All right. Yeah, all right, thank you, Brian.
Thank you very much.
Don't go too far.
See you in a bit.
All right, moving on to 15 Cranberry Meadow Drive. This is a continued hearing notice of intent for construction of a garage within a 100-foot buffer zone. John Lecare, sorry, as the applicant, and Dan O'Driscoll from O'Driscoll Land Surveying is the representative. Come forth, gentlemen. We did a site walk on January 18th. Some members of the commission made some observations of the existing conditions and things that were being proposed, and then brought them back to the 22nd meeting of January and discussed them at some length, and brought up some points about that, which we can cover now. You want to sort of summarize where you think we're at, gentlemen?
Sure. I think at that last meeting, you wanted a couple of things changed in the plan, which I have done. I believe you were ready to like vote this in and give an order of conditions, but we didn't have a DEP file number yet.
You
So
still don't?
We still did, we got one.
Oh, you did have one?
Yeah.
You- okay.
So
I was
I
gonna say,
added
didn't
the
still.
DEP file number on the plan. You mentioned that
Yeah,
this area, the gravel was a little bit hard to read in the plan, so I grayscaled the gravel area, showed some planting, showed some posts on the 25-foot line, and showed that area of gravel in the front of the proposed garage to be turned back into lawn. And it's all on the recently submitted plan.
Specific plantings were involved, which were discussed during the January 22nd meeting, as well as grading areas and pulling back. Okay. Anything else that wasn't captured there? Or siltation barriers up and shown behind the garage, going down to almost the street.
Posts are shown.
Nope, that looks like everything we had
Are the four
requested.
posts shown? Where are they? Where are
Yes.
they actually?
They're shown, they're right there.
Well, I know they're there. I'm just trying to remember which icon it is. I'm just looking for the.
They're right on the 25-foot line. They're little boxes.
Oh, the little boxes. Got it.
yep.
Okay, yeah.
There's 4 of them.
I see, thanks.
The arrow's pointing to the first one.
Yeah, okay, got it. Thanks. Proposed post, yep. Okay. Any other points that weren't covered or addressed by the applicants or the representative?
No, that's everything we wanted on the plan from last time, plus the DEP number, which we didn't have, so.
I would mention that while this process, the garage construction will happen whatever time, once you get the approval, you want to do that, that probably, given the landscaping and so forth, and given the time of year we're talking about, that if you did the work really quickly and wanted to get a certificate of completion, you'd have a tough time because we won't have any replication or, restoration of that. You're not gonna plant grass seed, obviously, along the area that you're pulling the mulch out and so forth. So we'll have to see how that goes timing wise, but, that's just a point of observation. Okay, if there's no other questions, James, you good?
I'm just rereading the special conditions. Give me
Okay.
30 seconds.
Sure, take your time.
29.
Can I just ask that, because I did, do kind of a draft based on, since we were about to close, the only thing I was kind of wondering is if there was like a time scale that you guys wanted for anything, just since some of it was, restoration based and taking
Right, that's the only
wood chips
reason I
out, and
mentioned that,
wasn't
because
sure.
I don't have a time scale, not knowing when the applicant might want to do the work. I don't know if you plan on doing the work right away or waiting a year to do it, or.
No, wait until, better weather,
Yeah. So if you're doing this in the spring, let's say, for example, and then, it's quite reasonable that, after a period of time and things are established and erosion controls could be removed, you come contact Hannah and so forth for that, that the final approval process, if you're in a hurry to get that, or want to get that in a timely manner, could potentially proceed. But we've had situations where like grass needs to be put in over a septic field that's been replaced, and the weather's just wrong for the wrong time, so we have to wait until we can't give approval for the final sign-off, which sometimes is an issue. This particular case is not a septic thing, so, or you're selling the house or anything, so it's maybe not time sensitive.
So the special conditions have 2 growing seasons.
Right. So this is again a case of,
Okay.
are we going to do 3 and 75% mortality?
No, this
or-
is less of a,
Okay.
this is less of a restoration, it's not a
I didn't know if
wetland,
you
it's
just wanna make
buffer
it a
zone, it's a
blanket.
buffer zone
I
restoration.
didn't know if you want to sort of make it a blanket,
Yeah, I think-
established.
I think we need to review
Awesome.
that
Okay.
and going forward, but I would tend towards 3 years in the future, but, as in the past, but.
Do we need to clarify the definition of by hand for the wood chip removal?
And just assume means anything other than a machine being brought in, but I'd be open to suggestions if you want to bring up.
No,
I
I
don't-
just wanted to make sure we visited that comment.
Sure, I did note it, but I sort of had the same thought pass my mind, like, okay, well, that just means they're gonna rake it out, I assume by hand as opposed
Shovel
to
and rake.
No, you
not
gotta,
bringing.
you have to pick them up individually.
One chip, one chip at a time.
Yeah.
Bag them, count them.
Hand selected.
All right.
That'll be my workout for the day.
Okay, any other questions, comments? I'll accept a motion to close this notice of, except for Hannah.
Sorry. Just to clarify, so I should take out any, like timeline for the removal of the wood chips?
Oh, timeline for removal of the wood
That was kind of the
chips.
only question, because I know he was waiting to do the garage potentially until a little bit later, but I didn't know if putting in the plantings was something you'd rather have done before the new garage went in.
I think that's just part of restoration after.
Yeah, no, just,
Okay.
yeah,
So,
no timelines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that as it makes sense to, to do the work, you put the garage in and then pull the mulch out, potentially do the plantings and.
Yeah, because you're gonna be, they're gonna be in and out of there.
Right, he's gonna have to plant where the
Yeah.
original
Yeah.
garage was, so it
Yeah,
makes
so
sense.
they'll work from back to front
Yep.
probably when they do that, so, yeah.
Although you plan on keeping the existing garage, it said, while you're building the new one.
Yeah, just to get everything out
So
of
the
that
first thing you're probably gonna do is build the new garage.
Yeah, and then put everything in the new and then take that one down.
Okay, then the proceeds with the demolition part, because we didn't really focus, because it's outside the resource area, the
Yeah.
new garage. Okay, all right,
The erosion control barriers, is there any permissions required because he's gonna be entering the neighbor's property?
I've already talked to the neighbors. They have no problem. Just do what I gotta do.
Yeah, if you remember the first plan I submitted, I didn't show the erosion control barrier on the neighbor's property until John got permission from them. Then that next revision, we showed the erosion control going around the existing garage, because he then had permission to go on their land and do that.
yeah, I don't think we need to write it in. If he's got the permission, he's obviously not gonna wanna do it without permission. Then you'd have an issue with the neighbors, so, we'll put it
I
in writing.
will note about that in another project that we have, the Mass DP recommended that we get signatures of all landowners on whose property work will occur that need to be provided for a complete filing.
What would they have signed on? Something that just says, I give permission to have work done on my property, Ariane?
No, the actual WPA form has
Oh,
a
the actual form.
landowner section.
For butters?
No, for any project that's on any specific parcel, even if it's more than one parcel, then both landowners, if they are different, then the applicant would have to sign, not physically sign, usually it's name and
and that would have
address.
been something I should catch when they submit it, but because it was a demolition, I wasn't thinking about that as work, so I'm not sure.
So can they just put a revised, page of the NOI?
I mean, well, and we can approve conditionally that, because that's just paperwork at the back
That
end.
has a sign, yeah.
In what format do you have this permission?
I went over and talked to them.
So verbal.
Verbal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think,
Handshake.
Yeah, I think what we're saying is that it probably covers everyone if we can just get them to sign something on the form that says,
I'll just let the damn thing fall down at this point, I mean, whatever.
yeah.
I'm just trying to do.
We're
the
just
right
trying to
thing.
make sure that we don't run into a problem with either you or the neighbor or something down the road. And if this is the way that the state and everybody else likes to have it done, so be it. We're comfortable that you have gotten permission, but I think having somebody cross an I and dot a T, it's not a big deal to have the neighbor sign to say, just makes it clear to the state or the people that we're filing this with.
Protect you from any issues that they might have down the road, or claim to have down the road.
Okay. Well, somebody can put that into the motion if they want to do so.
We had permissions change here just not too long ago.
Yeah.
Yes,
Good times.
yeah, we've had some situations in town where people
And-
have changed their minds on things. Okay,
Oh, the drain pipe.
Right.
yeah. So, someone want to make a motion
I
with
would
that?
move to issue an order of conditions with the special conditions as written, conditional approval based off the edited WPA form with both property owners listed.
Okay, I think all the other conditions that you've satisfied and done, the updated plans and so forth are captured already in that motion. Second? Pam, seconded, okay, thank you. Any other discussion on the motion? Okay, James,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Neil,
Aye.
Ariane,
Aye.
Pam? Mike, aye. All right, thank you, everyone.
Great.
Okay.
You're good, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
I'll put that together when
Okay.
I have it mostly written up, so that should be pretty fast.
Okay,
I'll get
no
that to you
problem.
To sign.
Thank you.
All right.
Enjoy the rest of your winter, hopefully
Thank you.
no floods for you or anything like that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay,
To the damn.
damn shame we have to move along.
Pictures you want.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I recuse myself from the next meeting.
thank you, Ariane. I was just waiting for you to do that.
Thank
As previously in the last meeting or two, we are having Ariane recuse herself. She works for Para Corporation, one of the representatives. Okay, so this is a continued hearing for notice of intent, Silver Lake Dam, AP 72, lots 24-1 and 25A, improvements to Silver Lake Dam, alteration of the bank, BVW, land under water bodies and waterways, bordering land subject to flooding, riverfront, and 100-foot buffer zone to BVW. Town of Bellingham is the applicant, and Gregory Lacroix, am I saying that right? Thank you. From Paris. You are here.
Like that.
I get it both ways, so.
Oh, as long as I don't mangle it too badly, sorry. Is here representing Paris.
You're not
Okay.
good with names, are you?
No, I'm terrible with names. I'm lucky to remember mine. Okay, thank you. So, want to summarize where you think we're at and see if we have commission has questions based on the information we've gotten from.
Absolutely. My name is Greg LaCroix from Power Corporation. I'm joined by Mark McCluskey online.
Oh,
also
sorry,
from
Mark, I didn't
Power
see you there.
Corporation,
Thanks.
Jesse Rydell, also
Jesse.
online from the
Jesse.
town's DPW. This is our third meeting in front of the commission. In the first one, we kind of presented the project and the commission asked initial questions. Just before last meeting, we received some comments from Mass DEP and the DEP file number, in which we responded to in writing, I think the day before last meeting. So at that time, the commission did not feel comfortable discussing those comments as you didn't have enough time to review them. So we're back in front of you today just to talk through some of those comments. Happy to go through them one by one, or if you have specific ones of interest, happy to discuss those.
Okay, let me just jump to asking if the commission members have spotted anything in the responses in the portal that were provided that jumps out at them, so we can always get to them first and then see if there's nothing else. Or, Jesse, do you, I think the comment I saw somewhere in one of, was that overall the DPW thought this was in pretty good shape from your point of view? Is that correct?
The recommendations, yes, the dam improvements are necessary, but yes.
You didn't say it-
we felt.
Okay, you didn't see anything in the comments from either the DP or Para that you wanted to, or BSC, sorry, that you wanted to comment on?
No, I have no comment on that.
Actually, BSC didn't read this. Sorry, par. I don't know why I said BSC, I was just thinking, man. Okay, sorry. Yes, okay, good. All right, just wanted to make sure you had a chance to speak up if you want. Commission members, anything you had to observe? I noted that the replication area recommendations were included in there because they are going to impact some stuff, but not wanting to make it worse, not expand it. Keep it the same area.
Yeah, they're kind of limited in where they can work. So.
Right, and the fact that the area is obviously not an undeveloped area right around the dam there and the rocks and the riprap and so forth.
Yep.
The main focus is to preserve the dam and.
Oh, there's not a whole lot of flexibility.
Right, there's not a lot of area to work to do replication if you're going to do replication and the
And
area.
it is a man-made structure in the first place,
Right.
so
Right.
we're not preserving natural habitat in that way.
I had one question, and it was based on the DEP comments. It just said, "The commission may exercise its discretion in deciding whether to require a wildlife evaluation." It's the first I have seen in something coming before me with that.
Yeah, I think that, given the location, I think we discussed this a little bit at the last meeting, that given the location that basically rock and disturbed areas,
Yeah.
and then people's houses and the road and so forth, there isn't a whole lot, I think the comment from you guys was, there wasn't a whole lot of wildlife to start with there, and what was there was actually potentially with the burrowing and so forth, it's been having some critters
Okay.
more damaging than anything else. But that's certainly something that the commission could, as DEP said,
No, I agree. I just thought maybe they saw
yes.
something that I didn't see.
I'm not
and I
sure
might
of
have missed
that,
it,
but-
Just rock, gravel.
If I may, yeah.
Yes.
So anytime you impact more than 50 feet of bank, the commission has the right to request a simplified or a wildlife habitat evaluation.
Okay.
Because most of the impacts in this one, most of the impacts to bank, I think it's 201 feet, are along riprap,
Yeah.
along the pond edge. There's another 30-something along the banks of the stream that are mostly temporary except for the outlet of the tow drain.
Mhm.
So because of those two things, we felt, or we request that the commission forego the wildlife habitat evaluation.
Okay. Yeah. Just with those holes that we saw on the ground, I'm thinking, well, they think there's some rare animal that lives there, but
I think it's simply just because
That's
of
just
that
a
50
reason, yep.
feet
Okay.
number.
Rare dam digger, yeah.
I'll be damned.
Okay.
I don't remember seeing a spill response protocol for the equipment you plan on using. Your oil, like your excavator, God
Yeah.
forbid, there's a hose that goes or something. I don't think that would negate us issuing an order. I think it would just be nice for Hannah to have a procedure that you follow in case of emergency.
Yeah.
And maybe have her be on the contact list if something happens,
Absolutely. Yeah.
especially with how close we are to the open water.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Good point, James, thanks. Ariane, you have anything online you'd like to add? Oh, never mind. You can't vote, but you can speak. No, she can speak.
Don't you unmute.
She can speak, she just can't vote, that's all.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else from the commission have? Okay, when do you guys, still looking to do this year coming up, right? So on
Yeah,
schedule, okay,
I
good.
think as far as I know this year.
Okay. All right. I'll accept a motion to, if there's no other comments, close after Hannah. Raise that hand faster. Good.
Something that you guys had mentioned in the first hearing was just about kind of the timing, and if the timing was off, if they had any like diversion methods or
In reference to the low water
yeah,
time.
if that was, you know, to not be done during low drawdown levels, or if you guys want to.
Or if it gets a lot of rain, we have, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
torrential
If there's,
rain
like,
to
an
summer.
emergency situation with stuff that has to be on site. That was something you guys had mentioned that I was just looking through, so I wasn't sure if that needed to be in the conditions.
Yeah, I'll actually let Mark field that question.
Mark,
Sure.
go ahead.
So I'm Mark McCluskey, I'm from Power Corporation, I'm project manager on this effort. The question was related to high water situation, was that the question?
What plans you might have in place and how we could potentially put them in as a condition?
Okay, so basically, what I was interpreting was a high water issue was potentially related to the proposed cement concrete erosion repairs at the base of the eastern spillway training wall and that first bay there. What we can do is, or the contractor can do with coordination, is to install a couple stop logs within the spill bays to hold back the water so they can complete the concrete repairs in the dry. And then if additional repairs need to be completed on the western bay, then the same procedure would be proposed. However, they're not looking, and based on our inspection and the observed erosion at the base of the spillway channel and the piers for the eastern bay, that's what we're looking to do right now. So it'll be the contractor will have the ability to install the stop logs in coordination with the DPW to provide the diversion. So that will be the measure. When there is a high chance of a severe rain event that may impact the reservoir, then definitely the contractor will cease all work and wait till that storm event and reservoir filling has passed. That could be a condition as well within your order of conditions.
Capture that pretty well. Okay. Thank you, that's helpful.
Is there a maximum level the reservoir can be at in order for you to accomplish this work?
Well, the normal summer reservoir elevation is 214.5. There's a assumed permitted, at least by the operation and maintenance plan, of a 1 foot drawdown, but I believe it actually is even farther of a drawdown. But the maximum that we would want the reservoir back at for any high rain event, especially doing the seepage relief work, is that, well, for the seepage relief, we definitely do not want the reservoir above 213.5. So there'll be some monitoring of that elevation by the contractor.
Okay. So 213.5 sounds like as high as you want to be. Okay.
Yeah, that's the maximum that you want to be at during the seepage relief system install.
Is there any failure risk during the installation of the seepage relief?
Excuse me?
Is there any failure risk?
A slope stability analysis was completed, or a seepage analysis was completed, and that's how we've arrived at the location of the seepage relief system. It's at its best location and its shortest reasonable distance from the dam to still provide the seepage relief but not have an effect on slope stability. Yes, there was one completed. And that is, the results are that the reservoir needs to be maintained no higher than the 213.5 during the seepage tow drain seepage relief system install.
To minimize the risk, which is what Steve was
Correct.
asking about, right? Okay.
Correct.
So if we stay at 213.5 doing the work with the seepage, your risk
Or
level
less,
is, or
correct.
less, then the level is low
Correct.
of risk. Is it 100% foolproof? I don't know if anything is guaranteed that way, but doing this kind of work, but
Is there any reason you shouldn't be able to maintain that 213.5?
Well, again, if there was a rain event that comes in that's predicted, again, there would be coordination. And the contractor is already regulated to minimize the length of seepage tow drain system installed at a time to 25 feet. So there's a very good chance that each 25-foot section will be completed easily within a day, if not more. So they'll have sufficient time. And again, keeping an eye on the weather and the forecast and whatnot for anything coming forward, the contractor is, and that can be in an order of conditions, the contractor should not continue with the seepage relief system installed during high, predicted high rain events.
Mark, it sounds like there's already a contractor selected. Is that what you're saying?
There is not a contractor selected yet. The
Okay.
bidding did occur, but that's still under redo.
Okay.
Do you think, Hannah, we've captured that well enough for incorporation? Okay. Because I think that's a good point, to have that factor of safety, and then just, they're not gonna do the work just during a potential high rain event. Keep the risk down, and it sounds like it's gonna be done in reasonable sections very quickly. What's the overall timetable to do the entire project? If everything goes well?
The total duration of the project, construction project, is estimated to be 90 days.
90, okay. I knew it was at least 2 months, okay. All right. Additional questions? Comments, okay. Accept an order, excuse me, accept a motion to close the notice of intent and issue an order of conditions as per noted during this past few minutes of discussion and observation, and
That couple,
So moved?
That couple's in the public.
Beg your pardon?
You haven't been
I'm
asked
sorry,
for
yes, let
public
me just be, let me get a second and then I'll
Yeah.
do that, thanks, James. Second, Steve, or you make the motion?
I made the motion.
Okay, do we have a second, somebody?
Second.
So we can discuss, okay, thanks, James. Just to give the audience, if there's anybody out there from the audience that would like to have?
I'm in a butter, I was just wondering if that would be relayed to like some of the local abutters around the property, so when the lake is lowered, they might be able to have a chance to clean up their beach and their waterfront a little bit.
I don't think that that's a
Problem on it
big
anyway.
issue. I'm thinking the best way to communicate that, whether the,
That drawdown's annually, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's
When
not
it-
gonna be it's not gonna, and Mark, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's not gonna be a specific drawdown for the work. It's an annual drawdown that happens, regardless, so it's, you should theoretically be in that drawdown period right now. So it's not gonna change at all, I guess is what we're saying.
so the lake level is gonna go down to whatever it goes down to without them actually opening a spigot and letting water out that you would be notified about to go clean your property, I think is what I'm hearing.
We're not gonna be reducing it at all for the purpose of this project. We're just using that low water period, to accomplish the work during that period.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's
Jesse?
not actually gonna go down significantly, like,
No,
Let me just ask Jesse from DPW. Jesse, do you guys give notification to anybody around Silver Lake when, and if the water level is gonna be dropped at all during the summer annually for mitigation, for weed control, for whatever else, working on the beach, if they were gonna do some work on the beach? I know the Conservation Commission owns Silver Lake, but do you guys do the work around it and so forth? Has that been a case in the past couple of years? Do you know?
No, we don't typically send out notification for when it happens. It is an annual occurrence. Mark had mentioned, we do it November 1st annually, and it is at its low level right now. But no, there's no notification that's tied to it. We go in, remove the boards, and the level slowly reduces at that point.
And that's done, as you said, normally in November, so we're already at the low level now, sir, so if you're gonna do anything, now's the time to do it, I guess, is what you're hearing.
Yeah, not with the snow.
And with snow and ice and everything else around there, good luck with that. Okay, thanks, Jesse, that's helpful, it's good to know.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right, so, I think we were at.
There's a motion and a second.
Motion, a second, any other comments from the commission? Anybody else? Okay. I'll take a vote. Pam? Don?
Aye.
Neil?
Aye.
Steve? James?
Aye.
Ariana is abstain, recusing herself. Mike? Aye. Okay, that's everyone, unanimous vote, with one recusal. Thank you, you're good to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Recusal, thank you. Get that tongue working there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jesse, thanks. Mark, appreciate it.
Right,
Thank you.
here we go.
Moving along to Zero Maple Street. Continued hearing, notice of intent for proposed 19,525
I withdrew.
square foot industrial-style building with parking areas, 3 proprietary treatment devices, and 2 subsurface infiltration systems. Rich Gordon from Maple Street Development LLC is the applicant, and Shane Oates from Independence Engineering LLC is the representative.
This was the first project I ever reviewed when I first came on board.
You know, Shane? Are you Shane?
Him.
Yeah. It's been so long. I don't know if have we ever met? It's been a long time.
You're older, yeah, no.
Yes.
We've all aged a little bit since we were last here.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Hannah's never met you in person. I think.
Right.
Yeah, so,
All
okay.
right, Hannah. Good.
Communicating, yes. So why don't you bring us up to speed where
Sure.
you're at? It's been a while.
Sure. So again, Shane Oates with Independence Engineering out of Middleborough. So we have been working closely with the planning board and the peer review engineer. So that's what's taken us a little time. We have what I hope to be our final planning board hearing tomorrow evening to go over conditions and a vote. So I spoke with Hannah. We thought now was a good time to update everyone on the changes since we last saw this, probably late spring of last year. We all went, some of us went out and took a walk on a rainy day to verify the wetland line. But so what I have up here, I thought it would be best if I showed the plan that the commission saw last. So we had 2 driveways. This is the big Amazon facility right here, I-495 Maple Street. So we had 2 proposed driveways to a building, an industrial style building, probably around 20,000 square feet, a little less. Some underground drainage, really a typical, we expected about 2 tenants, truck docks, which was another point of contention with the planning board. So
You had some retaining, you had some walls and retaining walls.
Walls, still
Yep,
have
yep.
walls everywhere, yep, still have ledge on site, so,
The ledge didn't go away?
no.
No?
No.
Allegedly, no.
So Rich Gordon, who owns the property and is the developer, he's actually a contractor, so he's gonna try to use a lot of the on-site ledge to build integrated walls. So those will have to be designed and approved by the building department at a later date, so. But just to revisit our buffer zones here, so we have bank, we have BVW on both sides. So over here, this dark line, this is the inner riparian, that's 100 foot. So we had a little bit of drainage, some drainage structures in there. Here's our outer riparian, you can see we had like a triangle of development, not exceeding that 10% mark. Then another, the last buffer, we had a 100-foot buffer here, so we didn't really have any work within the BVW buffer. Little corner of a retaining wall, which we still do today. So again, the building was around 20,000 square feet, one way in, one way out. That's kind of where we left off. Since then, nothing I would consider major, but some changes nonetheless. The building has shrunk to 15,000 square feet. We now have proposed 5 units, 3,000 square feet each. We anticipate having like trades companies in there, maybe a plumber, carpenter, stuff like that. I don't think any leases have been signed or anything along those lines. So, and then going through the drainage, the biggest hurdle was the drainage, bringing it up to the state standards, et cetera, working with CMG on that, the town's peer review engineer. So, so building shrunk. Driveways got a little wider to accommodate fire apparatus, emergency vehicles. Drainage, like I said, the site came up a few feet to accommodate groundwater conditions. 1 driveway now for safety concerns because of this bridge coming over here, over 495. And basically we gave a little bit of a buffer to I-495, some construction tolerances for the retaining walls. We're showing guardrail now where appropriate, so we gave a little more room for all those areas. Disturbance is still under the 10% total riverfront area. Still just a little corner within the BVW 100 foot. Pulled the drainage out of the inner riparian. There's no work proposed now within 100 feet of the inner riparian. That was one of the DEP comments. DEP comments were nothing in 100 feet. Drainage, which we addressed, and curve number. They wanted to see a more conservative curve number, which is our cover type in our drainage calculations. So that is really nothing major changed, but things got, the building got a little smaller to accommodate, like I said, public safety, and the site came up a little bit to accommodate those drainage requirements. So that's, I think, where we've addressed all the peer review concerns and planning board concerns as well.
So the outer footprint of the site didn't really, that didn't change
Not much at all.
significantly.
Correct, yep.
So the building got smaller to accommodate that other work
Those turning
within
movements.
that existing footprint.
Exactly, yep. Yeah, that got smaller. This retaining wall came
Came
off
in
a little bit to
yep.
accommodate the construction with the ledge, stuff like that. So,
Is the outflow off the back of the building,
yeah.
that's in the same place as it
Yep.
was originally?
So the building roof runoff basically goes directly in, this is a large underground chamber system. And then the emergency overflow goes into a drain manhole, into a flared end section, basically. But this accommodates the 100-year storm. So the only time you'd see anything coming out of there really of significance is really large storm events. We had chatted about, last spring, about there's some paths that go down that have gravel. So we have notes on there about putting some filter fabric and establishing some grass or using stones if needed. But we don't expect, with this plunge pool and flared end section, there shouldn't be anything coming down that hill at all. Certainly nothing of significance.
Those tracks were the dirt bike.
Yeah, when the
trails.
dirt bikes were, they're still there. I was out there a couple of weeks ago doing some tree inventory, so.
And the snow removal areas and so forth in the back and the guardrail, you said there was guardrail where appropriate.
Yep, right here, there's guardrails. So this is the fill section of the wall back here. So we go from a little bit of a cut section to a fill section. So we added a guardrail, bumped the wall out a little bit to accommodate that. Yep. But no snow storage back here. It's really just off the sides and the front. There's no snow storage out back because that's within the out of repairing.
Right, and we were also, at that
Yep.
point, I'm not seeing anything over the top.
That was one of the
Yeah.
concerns as well. Yep.
Anything else affect the Conservation Commission's review that we had basically signed off waiting for planning boards?
Do we have a digital copy of these plans? Because the only ones I see in here are the ones that still have snow storage in the back. They're dated 2/9/24, so I assume they're.
What's the most current set of plans?
There might be,
That would
so,
Yeah.
there may be a snow shelf if it's just like 3 feet wide. But there's not a lot of room to put it there with the walls. Let me just go to the layout plan. Are you on the layout plan, C400?
I was, yeah. I'm scrolling to see if there's other pages.
Yeah, so this latest revision is 1/3/25.
Yeah, so this
which I
is different.
submitted electronically. So this is the snow storage areas, this little, they just wanted us to show a 3-foot shelf where you could take these low, smaller snow events and push them right off to the side. Nothing out back. Any large events, Rich will be removing them from site like he did. He owns other industrial buildings in the area.
What kind of equipment is going to be in these units in terms of like the tenants that you're going to have?
So I don't, nothing, it's basically just trades type. They're 3,000 square feet, so it's not gonna be anything crazy. I think he may have a plumber that's interested right now, so plumber, maybe a landscaper. Again, there's no available areas for outdoor storage here. There's the minimum parking. We actually, received a special, or we're gonna receive a special permit because we don't meet the parking requirement. So it's not like there's gonna be outdoor storage or anything like that. There's one overhead door in the front to accommodate a van, basically.
Right.
You're not getting anything big in these buildings
So if you have a
whatsoever.
plumbing company, you're not gonna have 4 vans out parked out back, because they're not gonna.
There's not gonna be room.
The employees have to be able to get
Yeah.
in there, and that's meeting
What
those.
about discharge of hazardous materials into the septic system?
Nope, that's actually, there's no hazardous materials on site. That's noted on the plans as well. So,
Okay. Is
and
there
that'll.
going to be any like restriction with the lease?
Yes, I'm sure that Rich will, write those into the lease, all the conditions, and we have a significant O&M plan too in place.
Okay.
Yep.
Does a drainage structure have an oil water separator in it?
No.
So how would we mitigate for?
Well, anything interior will have to be done through the building department, so if there's
No,
any sort of,
I meant in the parking lot.
yeah.
How are we dealing with a
There's-
potential spill?
There's storm scepters proposed with the drainage system. So these inlets in the back, these are actually storm scepter inlets.
Okay.
Yep. So there's pre-treatment provided. Everything on site is captured, and even this section of driveway, because we're going up a little bit here, this section of driveway is captured in a catch basin storm scepter as well. So everything from the site will be pre-treated, and almost all of it will be recharged. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Any other questions? Comments?
Let's get this one out of here.
Okay, after more than enough time, not tonight, but overall,
Right.
I think, for everybody's sake. Condition upon receiving the set of plans that, you said you sent those digitally, the 1/30/20, do we have them on our end? Because we're using the right date plans now?
2924 is the ones we have in the portal right
So
now.
we want to make sure we have plans of record that match the planning department's plans of record.
Yeah, those
So
are-
when they issue theirs,
Well, I mean,
I
this,
think-
the second he
I've
said.
got the 130,
Yeah.
the 10325 cent.
2924.
Where'd you get it?
It should be, there should be a PDF that's read for, I can
well,
send it tomorrow as well.
actually, we have two commission members, one who
It says-
has the most
see, it
current
says
on the portal, and the other one who
25.
does not yet. James is looking for
When
it.
you open
Yeah,
it,
mine
Steve
was
has
almost
it.
current.
the actual plans
In the
say
portal.
2924.
Go to the
He says.
revision block.
He says he sees the 1/3/25. Is it 1/3/25?
1/5,
What's
yeah,
on that?
1/3/25 is Rev 4.
Okay.
It does say that, yeah, it
Oh,
says
1
that
through
they're
25,
updated
okay.
on the thing, but it's just, I think, on
Is
that
that
cover
not the-
page that has 2924.
Snow
It's not updated
that
on the
we
cover page.
told them? I thought that
Shane,
was
you hearing
coming
that?
up.
It
I
sounds
don't
like the
think
cover
so.
page might
Scroll
be
down here.
outdated, but the actual digital copy
C400.
that we got was accurate for the page 1/3/25.
No, I have a 1/3/25 on this. And it looks like the one Hannah had up on her screen was the
Right
old
there.
title block from my old company.
Oh,
These have been converted now.
It's 3 feet, you're
Yeah,
not putting a whole lot
I
of snow
can
there.
make sure if you
Okay.
need
Oh, dumpster
me to
pad, okay.
resend it, I can.
well, usually when we
No,
close, it's
we-
based on
we have it.
the
I was just-
understanding and the
have
stated
it.
comment usually, right, Neil?
I was looking at
Yeah,
the wrong date.
that
so
was the
we got
plan
it.
of record.
Plan of record is,
Yeah, mine
we
says
need to wait
2/5/25.
I think
Yeah, you have it. Hannah has the current plans.
I was,
based on
My-
approval.
Yeah, that's
and
the
no
original
changes.
date of the
Remember,
my confusion was the dumpster pad. I remember last year, in the back of the properties where you guys were proposing originally snow storage.
Right.
So I was confusing the old plan with the current dumpster.
I'll try to
pad.
I think they're done at
We're good.
page.
I'm just stupid tonight. We're good.
Question on the C400
Yeah.
snow storage, I see it on the, I guess, the east side, but is
Yep.
it also across the front? There's,
A little
the
3-foot shelf across
notations
the
are the
front.
same.
Little strip here across the front, so kind of wherever there isn't retaining wall or riparian zone is where we're showing that little shelf. That's what the peer
Guardrail.
review wanted. He didn't want us to say everything's gonna be removed off-site, because that's not realistic. So we're showing the ability to store it here, from basically here, and then in the front of the site as well.
Not a whole lot, that's for sure.
No,
And what's proposed beyond the retaining wall, just as it is, or are we?
I think
yep, that'll
that's,
be natural
grassing
vegetation.
it, or- okay.
Natural, yeah, we're not disturbing anything, especially
except where the
in
pathways
riparians.
go down, which you said you'd put some
Yeah, the only
geotech,
disturbance
whatever.
within those, that inner riparian is the pathways to reestablish them.
Well, not reestablish, renaturalize it.
Right.
Right. Okay. So, I will accept a motion to close the hearing and issue a notice of, order of conditions for this notice of intent based on the, as stated practice with the commission, the approval of the planning board's final set of plans matching our set of plans for the plan of record for this project, so that we have one set of plans that is the same for both, because that's very important for our records. And were there any other conditions? I think everything else was already stipulated and has been covered. Hannah?
Do I have access to, I can go through your old, stuff, but.
Old stuff? That's pretty general. What do you, a little more specific.
I can go through the old
Like minutes to see
hearings
what-
for that,
oh.
but otherwise, I don't think, I don't think Hannah Crawford started a
No.
conditions document, so that's the
I-
only concern that I have.
I think if I remember last year right, as we were conditioning things, they were kind of just implementing them into the plan.
Okay.
So I think this final revision kind of,
The only thing I remember was when this first came up was ledge, and that was something that you were waiting on for the planning board to kind of figure out, so I didn't know if that was, there were any,
what about it?
just the,
That there was a lot there and there was
Right.
concern and so forth, but it didn't really impact the Conservation Commission's point because it wasn't a drainage issue or anything like that, and it wasn't stopping the work from going forward, and I think it has been basically addressed by the planning board and so forth, so.
I am
think that's
curious
good.
though, because I think when we were on site, you said the owner said he specifically does not intend to blast the ledge.
Yep,
And then he can do it without. That's still the case?
yes.
Okay.
Yep. And he'll have to go through your building department with whatever he does with these walls.
Bring a lot of hammers.
Yeah, and I think
You said it.
we just want to make sure we reference the O and M plan.
okay.
Oh, yeah, right.
And the snow being moved off to the sides and not into the resource area and.
Only in marked areas as designated on the plans.
Marked on the
and
plan.
Otherwise
as
removed
shown on the
off-site
plan- As shown in the plan, yeah.
during heavier snow events, yeah. I think that captures pretty much all the
Yeah.
orders that we,
Yeah.
okay.
What is the current runoff onto Maple Street?
I don't have the drainage report with me.
Probably just runs down the side of the road into a ditch.
It's significantly less now, because that was one of our catchments. That's one of our
by
discharge
the
points
corner
that
of
we
the driveway.
analyzed. Yeah.
Comes running down that dirt access.
gonna-
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
basically, well, I could go to the survey, we could probably get I mean, at the end of the day, it's literally gonna be the grass that's out front here, which will be landscaped and grass, so that'll be kept nice, and the roadway, which will be captured in the storm surface.
Right at the edge of the road.
Right.
There's no net runoff.
No, there's net decrease in runoff and volume, definitely.
So it's an improvement.
So right now, we have this gravel area, so this basically, your catchment area is probably from here down, right? So quite a bit more, and probably most of this gravel area, because it goes right up the hill. And then this is a hole right here, so it's probably, it's a good chunk of the area. Yeah. That's now being contained on site and treated.
Okay.
It will hopefully seep down.
Not that anything out
Help with
here
that
is
wetland.
terrible, it's just you have some gravel runoff, so there's probably some potential for sediment right now.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
We're almost up to the anniversary of the site.
Happy anniversary. Okay, so I think I had stated that I would accept a motion to close and issue an order of conditions for this NOI for 0 Maple Street as stipulated in the previous comments that I've made, which I won't repeat again because I don't remember them all. But especially the set of plans for the planning board being, it being tied into that. Thank you. So we have Pam and Ariane second. I think I heard Pam first, Ariane. Any Okay. Any other comments, questions? No? Thank you. James?
Aye.
Aye.
Steve? Neil?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Pam? Ariane?
Aye.
Mike, aye. All right. So you are good to go, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Congrats.
Great to see you.
Great night.
Good to see you. Happy to see you go. Happy, I'm sure, as happy as you are.
Take care.
Thank you.
Good luck wrapping it up tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hopefully the weather hold up for you and won't be too messy tomorrow night. It can't be too much worse. Okay. Last item on the agenda for, other than other business, is a new hearing for a notice of intent for 180 Payne Street, Rentham Road. Vegetative restoration of cut areas within buffer zone to BVW. January Holdings LLC is the applicant, and Brian from LEC Consultants. Brian Madden is back again for second round tonight.
Brian, wow, welcome back.
What a surprise. Okay, so gentlemen, if you want to come closer up, you're here for this, I assume, or not?
No.
Okay, next one, sorry. You're on the other business, sorry. Thank you. I just want to make sure you weren't missing it if you want to see it. Okay, thank you. So, Brian, why don't you just summarize where you're at with this latest?
Thank you very much. For the record, Brian Madden from LEC Environmental, representing the property owner, January Holdings. As we previously have talked about, this was the unauthorized cutting activity that took place behind the 8th tee box that extended into buffer zone to two separate but connected BVW areas, the F and G series. We had conducted some GPS survey work to confirm the limits of the cutting within the buffer zone and also identify stumps 10 inches or greater as the basis for the replacement, which I'll get into. But basically, there was a total of 12 mature hardwood trees that were cut within the areas. The two areas which are kind of connected but touching each other totaled 9,850 square feet. One of the areas, the larger one associated with the F-series wetland, was 5,500 square feet, while the other one was 4,250 associated with the G-series wetland. Historically, there's been a old cart path that extends through the area, and there was actually an old bridge-type structure over the, this is one of the intermittent streams that runs south-north through the property. This blue box is the 8th tee box. It's kind of broken up a little bit, but this is the general footprint of it. So the yellow highlighted areas, and thanks for having enough, show the cutting areas into the buffer zone. So you can see on the F-series, it was all upgrading of the 50-foot buffer zone, but the G-series, that kind of wedge, pizza-shaped almost, encroachment did go closer to the wetlands and a little bit into the 50-foot and the 25-foot. There was about 130 square feet into the 25-foot. So at the January 9th meeting, we had talked about kind of what some plans were, and I subsequently have met with the golf course superintendent to understand what the needs and concerns were for the basis of the restoration plan. So the intent is not to eliminate any of the buffer zone areas, but to do some habitat conversion and do appropriate wetland buffer zone replacement. In addition to those 12 hardwoods, some understory was cut. There was some saplings, and there was some younger saplings and shrubs that were cut along the edges of that old cart path, extending down towards the wetland. So there was a little bit of understory work there, but no real large trees down in that area. That material had been stockpiled adjacent to another isolated wetland, the T-series wetland. I think we've seen some photographs of what that looked like. All that material is going to propose to be removed from adjacent to that resource area that's adjacent to a cart path. This area in general used to be an old hole associated with the golf course from the 60s up until the mid-90s. So the majority of the cut area is about 30 years old. But there were some larger trees, basically upgrading of the F-series wetland. The restoration plan shows conceptual locations for the replacement plantings. So what we're proposing to replace, so the F-series encroachment, F-series buffer zone encroachment, as well as adjacent to the cart path, extending down towards the wetland, we're proposing to replant with native shrubs, consisting of a total of 26 shrubs: arrowwood, sweet pepper bush, hazelnut, and sumac. And really the intent here, the hope is to convert that from some areas with trees and mature canopy to lower growing, dense understory that's not going to cause concerns related to shading on the tee box itself. And as I mentioned, shading was a concern as it relates to the tee box, but there was also some safety concerns as well. I did include that photograph of what happened
dramatic
last
there.
year. And I only put that out there just because that's kind of rolling around in back of the groundskeeper's head when it comes to these things. So they want to avoid any situation like that moving forward. So that's the reason why we've focus in our replacement trees in this corner that's kind of far removed from the course of play and associated golf course activity, but it's all within the buffer zone to the G-Series wetland. We're proposing a total of 24 trees, so a 2-to-1 replacement trees.
What size?
Well, you know,
Because what looks like on that plan, there's some vegetation already in that area that wasn't clear cut, correct, in that triangle? Or was it clear cut?
yeah, so what happened is there was no grubbing, no soil disturbance, so the root systems are all intact. It's all going to generate over time. The trees are intended to give a jump start on the canopy.
My question is 24 some odd trees in that small, what looks like a fairly small area, look like they're going to be fairly densely packed. I'm not sure what the long-term benefit is. I mean, how well they're going to do, number one. Number two, what, size, type. Obviously, some of that's going to be in your planting specifics, but is it really the only place that they could do that? Or is it just because it happened to be the area that they cut out and did some disturbance in it, and it's easier to just plunk a bunch of trees there? Because I don't know if anybody else thinks, but that's a lot of trees in a small area.
They chose the specific location for the shading.
What do you mean specific
Right.
location?
The mature trees are going in that specific location, and the shrubs are going in the specific location to avoid the shading for the tee box.
Correct, yeah. So the area over here results in more shading on the tee box in this direction. In this vicinity, it's less of a concern, and so that's why restoring the understory and enhancing that. Certainly, we focus all our plantings within the buffer zone. And again, this area is about 4,300 square feet. If the commission requests, we can slide a few more trees over in this direction. But we wanted to, again, hit that 2-to-1 replacement and focus it within the buffer zone. I mean, we could certainly go beyond the buffer zone if the commission's just.
I'm not a tree guy. I just seems like it's pretty condensed, and it seemed, first of all, I was like, oh, they're just pushing it down in there because they want to get away from tee box. I know they want to shade and the mature trees as well, but I'm also thinking, I don't know what the long-term use of the site will be. If it's not a golf course anymore, then this is kind of a lot of work for nothing in that area.
That was going to be one of my questions, was what's the point if this is all going to get cut down anyway?
The golf course is not going in.
Okay.
Yeah, all right, well,
My concern is that over half of the trees that were cut
Yep.
are in that other side that you're proposing shrubs.
Yep. Yeah.
I understand the value of shrub habitat, I get it, but I don't think that's valuable on a golf course, so I would prefer some larger trees to go back to where they
Shift it
were.
over that way.
That's just me, though.
I think I agree with that.
I agree with that.
Okay. Well, we can certainly.
Did you have any
integrate
types
that.
of trees proposed?
Yeah, so what we proposed was basically a replacement of what was cut, while adding a little bit more species diversity. We're proposing red oak, black cherry, American elm, and eastern white pine for trees. But we can spread it out a little bit. Again, the desire was to avoid future potential shading concerns, but realizing that this is pretty dense area, we can disperse it out a little bit.
you've had conversation with the head groundskeeper, you said, has it come up in your conversation with them that they might want to consider the shading issue elsewhere on the course proactively and not with a chainsaw in hand, but perhaps talking to us about it?
I think what will happen is, now that we have the resource areas understood, and so the superintendent, there was an individual, I believe was at the golf course for a number of decades, and there was a new superintendent last year, I believe. So this is a learning curve to understand the do's and don'ts. I think if you look at it, I put in this tee box, that's completely shaded. I think they're gonna need to go on a more full course assessment to see what's in jurisdiction, what needs to go before the commission. Certainly there's areas that are completely out, but.
And what can be done a little more surgically
Exactly.
than clear cutting.
Because I think, this was started as kind of just like chasing the sun a little bit, but, it obviously got too overzealous, so I
A
think.
whole lot overzealous.
Is the shading concern in the tee box for repair growth?
That, part of it, yeah, you know, just repair growth, but also just, you know, getting good growth going. And again, the safety concern, you know, that photo was a little scary, and they just don't want that scenario happening.
I was seeing anybody with a beer glass in hand or somebody standing under the tree saying, oh, look at that.
And that was supposedly like a pretty healthy tree that
Looked
had
pretty-
no
pretty
signs
good.
of indication that it was gonna fall. But yeah, no, I think, you know, there is a subtle hillside, on that F-Series, that kind of longer stretch upgrading of the 50-foot, where we could, disperse it out. There is also, just outside the buffer zone, like a little ledge outcropping, that does provide some good separation, as well.
Yeah, no, I'm not thinking you go wild and add a bunch
Yeah.
of trees on the other side, but, I mean, the way it's proposed now, it's all shrub on one side and all
Big
tree on
trees
one
there,
side.
yeah. I kind of thought that too, yeah.
And I would venture to guess that 30% of those trees won't be there 5 years from now because it's so dense. Once they get big enough, they're gonna compete, and half of them, you know, a bunch of them will die off, so.
Yeah, we can, from an ecological standpoint, that certainly
Or
makes
back
sense.
golfers
We
and
can
optional.
spread it out a little bit. Again, this was trying to adapt to some future maintenance activity, but, you know.
Okay.
What I failed to mention too was that, and this was included in the notice, but the 100-foot buffer zone is going to be, we're gonna have placards for the no disturbance zones, just so that's clearly identified in the field and there's no
Okay.
encroachment in the future.
On that, I know I asked this last time, were you able to track down like a veg management plan or something? Or is that something the owner is planning on drafting?
Yeah,
future
so
use?
nothing exists on record to date, and as I previously mentioned, you know, portions of this golf course date back to the early 1900s.
Yeah,
And it's
right.
evolved over time. There's been several, you know, refurbishments. I think it's something that hopefully will get integrated, and, you know, it's pretty significant undertaking
Yeah.
to get it done, but
I get it.
yeah, I think it would be helpful, especially with, you know, new folks involved. And
Right,
just
I'd
making
recommend it,
sure all-
I'd recommend it to your client.
Regulations that have come out since the 1900s.
Exactly.
One or two.
Just a few. Okay, good. Any other questions from the commission at this point on the plan as it seems to be evolving here?
I think we're really just asking them to diversify,
Are
right?
all these plants, wetland plants, or facultative plants?
They're all buffer zone appropriate plants.
Okay.
That sounds like.
Because, yeah, this isn't, so we are proposing to do temporary irrigation for establishment and monitoring for 3 years to make sure a successful establishment. There's a, you know, having been in this area previously, prior to the cutting, there is some bittersweet here that needs to be managed to make sure it's not overwhelming any of the plantings. I specifically remember this area because it was loaded with poison ivy. Again, this was part of an old golf hole that just was kind of left foul in natural succession, and poison ivy loved those conditions. But yeah, certainly, you know, there is irrigation by the tee box that we can certainly tap in for temporary irrigation for establishment.
Convenient.
But, you know, after that 2-3 years of monitoring, then it's basically, you know, should establish.
Hopefully, yeah.
Does our standard monitoring conditions include invasives, or is that something?
Yeah,
we
there
have
is
to
something
write
in there.
special?
That's something we can
Okay.
add.
I think I've seen it in one of the ones you
In the-
just did.
It was, yeah, it was a condition that you asked
Oh,
for,
okay.
so.
And one of the
that
last
included.
ones that we just approved, it was
Yeah,
one of
'cause
the
it's-
articles of petition. I remember invasive being.
Yeah, it's not gonna do anybody good if they plant all this nice plantings and the invasives kill them off in the first year.
Or Brian has to come back and get poison ivy again, come on.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Hannah, I'm gonna go to you first, so you don't have to stick your hand up in case I forgot. Nothing?
No, I don't have anything
Okay.
other than just the, when you were talking about the groundskeeper, he when I went, he seemed very apologetic and was like, I had no idea, and I definitely won't be doing this again because it seemed to have caused quite the commotion,
Oh,
so.
that's good to
More
hear.
tips than they want to get.
Yeah.
Okay. Pam and Don?
Nope.
Marianne, you have any questions online? Any other thoughts?
Nope.
Okay. Anybody else, gentlemen?
What's, did all the wood get taken off site already?
No, there's, it was stockpiled over towards that other IVW.
Okay.
There is a storage area that's outside of the buffer zone that they historically have stockpiled.
Are you looking for firewood?
No.
I was curious what they
Make a lot of clubs out of there, a lot of woods,
Curious
you know,
what they were
whatever.
gonna do with the debris and if he was gonna like rake it in to the area, spread it out, or I wasn't sure.
You mean the chips and so forth, debris?
Yeah, if it was chipped or if it was just cut as logs and then left as logs.
Well, that all looked like
the big
logs.
stuff was removed. I mean, there is some wood chips in there,
Yeah.
but it's, you know, we did recommend a light raking just to
Okay.
prevent, you know, any deterring regrowth.
Yeah.
But the big stuff was taken out. You know, this is a property that has a lot of big, tall hardwoods.
Yeah.
So-
I built a couple of houses, I don't know if they took that. No, just kidding. Okay. Any other questions?
I'm done.
Okay. All right, I'll accept a motion. Unless there's something else that we've left off that we need to continue for. I don't think we do. I think we are. Okay. We accept motion to close and issue an order of conditions for this notice of intent for 180 Payne Street, Rentham Road, vegetative restoration of cut areas within the buffer zone to BVW. So we're differentiating from the other 180 Payne Street we had up earlier. With any conditions that we had just established that Hannah had made careful note of, which I don't think were much. I don't think we really.
Contingent on an updated plan.
And contingent, thank you.
That was my question.
Yeah.
was
Yes,
the-
contingent on an
I
updated plan.
saw,
with Brian
I saw your
Wolford.
face.
Okay, thank you. I knew if I say it slow enough, you guys will catch it. Great. Yes.
Normally, we wait for the updated plan.
Right, we can do it that way if you want to, too. We can continue for another 2 weeks. When would you have the plan?
I can get that next week, yeah.
Yeah, so I would amend that motion to
Continue.
continue,
Okay. With the
You
intent.
guys aren't in
hopefully-
any rush to start planting.
No,
Yeah.
I
to
think
continue to the next hearing
Okay.
with the intent to, provided we get the revised set of plans to.
And there's no other changes to it, yeah. Then we
yeah,
just
then
close
we-
an issue.
Then we close an issue at the next meeting.
Okay, that's fine. I'm happy
If the
to
applicant
take
is-
that amended motion.
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you. And any other comments? Nope. Okay, James.
Aye.
Steve. Neil.
Aye.
Oh, thank you. Don.
Aye.
Pam.
Aye.
Ariane.
Aye.
Mike, aye.
So we
Okay.
continue to the.
Continue to
28th,
the evening of,
26th. Thank you.
yes.
All right, thanks so much.
February
everyone.
26th. Thank you, Brian. Travel
Yeah,
safe.
Brian.
Take care.
February 32nd.
February 30, 30, 40, 50. Okay. Gentlemen, if you want to come up.
I was gonna suggest you put them in front of the pole replacement.
Yeah.
Yes. Why don't we do that?
Since they're here and the pole replacement is not.
Is this for?
Are they online? Oh, I'm sorry.
Is this for 365 or for these guys?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I assume. I'm thinking, yes.
You gentlemen are here for 365 Hartford, correct? Yes. Okay, just want to make sure, because we had a couple items on other business owner. Don't know, sure. Okay. So we have a notice of violation under other business here at 365 Hartford Ave. There was information in the portal. So the gentlemen like to identify yourselves and for the record and just summarize where we're at.
Yes, I'm the pastor of the church, Bellingham Bible Baptist Church, and I
Thank
live
you.
in the parsonage that's also on the property.
Mhm.
And my name's Michael Carrier.
Welcome, thank you.
Yep, and I am Matt Nicholson. I am the church deacon and trustee.
Thank you.
Keith Buchanan, Alliance Environmental out of Cranston, Rhode Island.
Thank you, Keith. Okay. Great, thank you. Appreciate your coming here tonight, gentlemen. I know Hannah has been in touch with you and been out to the site, and we've seen photos of the site and received information from both Hannah and, as I said, in the portal that we have shared the information. So we're aware that there was a violation unbeknownst to you all of expansion of parking area. In the photos that I saw, the 4 photos that were dated, it was a little hard to tell which One was, how long ago was the parking lot expanded to the current dimensions, roughly?
So in regards to the pavement or the wood chips?
The wood chips.
Both.
So the pavement, I mean, I've been there since 2022 as a pastor, so that's been there.
And it's that, the pavement limits as it is right now has been there for over 10 years.
Okay, so that's,
just the
the
wood
pavement
chips.
didn't expand, it was just, and how long ago did that happen? Because I saw like 4 different dated photos, and a little hard to tell which one had the most.
Yeah, so the near map photos, is that what
Yeah.
you're talking about? Yeah, so I just was showing that in March 30th, 2023, there was still vegetation in that area. So between then and October of 2024 is when the cutting happened.
Yeah, and on Google Street View in September of '23, it's still vegetated, so it was sometime after September of '23.
Okay. So it's been a while, but not like multiple years, probably 2 years if.
Right. Year and a half.
Year and a half, okay. Okay, so as Hannah has probably explained, that there is a no disturb area along a resource area, which is the Charles River, right along the side of the property there. Our focus right now is damage has been done. We need to find a restoration plan that works and get this situation remedied so that and prevent future negative impacts as much as possible in that area. With that in mind, Hannah, good?
I mean, I did draft an enforcement order, if that's, how you guys would like to move forward, that just, because it is just restoration focused, and they're not requesting to keep something, because it is in a resource area, because it is riverfront, it's not just buffer zone either.
Where's the property line right there on that side of the property? Is it at the bottom of the bank, up at the top where the mulch stops? I don't
Property
remember
line?
seeing the actual property line for the church.
Why?
Just curious, I just
It
wanted to know
goes-
where the property line.
Pretty far back, I mean, based off of what I,
Goes to the center line of the stream.
yeah, it goes.
Oh, okay, so it does go out quite a ways.
And then it goes to the edge of the river?
I believe so.
No, I mean, it doesn't, but it's not really pertinent, so. That's all.
Okay, just curious. All right. So, the other option, the other information that you provided, Hannah, I'm trying to remember from the portal, I did read the enforcement order draft, and that is one method of proceeding. If the commission has another approach they want to take with an actual plan, or proposing how they would get to it, a plan with some advice. Do you
I'm
have?
just curious why it was done, only to fill it with wood chips.
So we, looking back at the vegetation picture, so we have the cars that park along these rows here.
Yeah.
We've had some, when the wind came and storms came, we've had some branches come down on the cars. Nothing significant, they're not big. So I said, let's just, cut these down and lay the chips. So everything that was, all the chips that were there, that are there, are from what we cut. No stubs all the stubs are there. We didn't dig into the soil, it's just laid on top. There was gravel that was already there where our dumpster was. We just laid the wood chips on top of that. The dumpsters moved to the other side of the parking lot, out from within the buffer zone. It's on the opposite side near our house now. So everything that's cut, just we laid the chips there, and it took care of anything falling on the cars, and I mean, that's essentially it. And like I said, I was not aware, I just moved to Massachusetts in 2022, so it's totally on us, and I want to rectify the situation.
Yeah, thanks. So they don't park on the mulch per se, it's more just as a buffer, and they stay on the paved area for parking?
Yeah, so they save, on this side, they stay on the paved area, and on the other side, the front of the cars are on the front, right at the edge of the pavement, so the back of the car goes up. Before the chips were there was gravel there, so the cars were on the gravel.
So, or they would go off the asphalt, because those spaces are really short.
Yeah, we put those spaces there to just try to delineate.
There was never.
Spacing of cars.
Yeah,
Cut
spacing
down
of
on the
cars,
chaos.
Just to
Not
kinda
that the
keep
cars
from
are
the
that short,
chaos.
they're that close together, okay.
Yeah.
So on the Charles River side of the parking lot,
There are quite a few cars in there.
that's the intent, to stay off the mulch right now. There was previously gravel underneath the mulch, that may still be, the gravel's still there, you just put the mulch over the top. Yeah,
Everything,
there you go.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So are you losing parking?
By taking the wood chips away.
Well, whatever restoration plan would come in is gonna render that area as,
Well, we never had parking there to begin with.
well, it sounds like they were
Well,
pulling
we had-
off the asphalt onto the
On
gravel.
gravel. There was probably about 2 or 3 cars I could fit on.
In
on
that
the
back
gravel.
by the dumpster
That
back
was-
here.
But that's along the,
Yeah, not this
Yeah,
one in,
yeah.
across here
No.
as well.
In the back side of the parking lot, not along the
Maybe a little
Charles
bit.
River side, the shore.
No, just
Okay,
that.
gotcha,
On that
okay.
back side of the parking lot.
So, then, yeah.
And the dumpster's since been moved
Yeah.
to the, right next to
Yeah,
the
they're-
house. And,
They're shimmying up on it.
Okay.
The dumpster's in the front there, right in the corner there.
Okay. And where the 24 is where those couple of extra cars could squeeze, you're saying back?
the gravel, yes.
13
Yes.
to 24, okay. Oh, so the gravel back there. Was there not also gravel, I'll just point it out, along here,
There is.
under the mulch, that's also gravel there, too?
No,
just
no,
beyond
it's
there?
That's all
forested.
vegetation.
No, they're saying, I'm saying, at some point in time, I thought I heard you saying that there was gravel there that you put the mulch on top of. After
No,
you
that's-
chopped these
No,
trees.
no,
the
we put
dumpster.
the mulch on
Okay.
top of
That's
the
by the
gravel
four.
that was in
Okay.
by
24.
24.
Okay, all right, just want to make sure. Okay. And how far is it down from the bank to the edge of the river that's been disturbed? 25 feet? For the yellow line from the edge of the bank, I'm just trying to get an idea of how far
Well,
the
they didn't
disturbed
mulch
areas.
all the way
We didn't
to
go all
the
the
center
way.
line. It looks,
Oh, I know that.
No, it just goes down the
22
toe
inches.
slope.
Right, toe slope, but I'm
Just
just
the
trying to
toe
get,
slope.
how much area are we?
And that's
talking?
filled land, because it's all nice and even and straight, so that
Right.
was filled, historically, that's been filled land, so.
And just somewhat disturbed over the years.
Well, yeah, I mean, historically, that was not, that nice straight line with that nice even slope is not a natural occurrence, so, yeah, that was done at some point in the long past, which is neither here nor there. So, have you come up with a restoration
So,
proposal?
based
for
upon
us?
looking at it, looks like about 10 trees were taken down,
Yep.
4 greater than 12 inches caliper. The remaining 6 were less than 12 inches. So replace those with a mixture of hardwood, softwood that's native and applicable to the soils, hydric soils. Seeding, the top edge near the parking spaces was just, native grass. Down slope, there was more of a, invasive types, poison ivy and
Poison
weeds,
ivy, yeah.
So we could actually put in a seed blend of wetland mix.
That would be okay on that. What's this rate, slope rate? Or do you have approximate 2 to 1, 3 to 1?
I give you a 2 to 1 there, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty steep.
Yeah, but it's not very tall either.
Yeah, it's not tall, it's only
No,
about a
couple feet.
3 foot, 2
Yeah.
foot.
Yeah, okay, that's good. So it's doable with that mix, you think, okay?
Yeah.
We wouldn't want to put something in there, obviously having
They
eroding
got
down
a
to
lot
the
of
river.
better vegetation growth for erosion control as well, while the trees mature.
Right. Okay.
And
And
then
is,
and with the gravel areas, the main goal would be to remove the mulch to expose the native soils and not disturb it during removal, and leave the gravel where it is. The gravel can act as a energy dissipator for pavement runoff.
right, which does pitch that way?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does pitch.
I know it
towards
pitches
the-
down towards the back of the site,
Yeah,
but
probably
across.
flows out that way, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That was
As
pre,
opposed-
that was
Yes,
pre-existing, so
Yeah,
I don't think,
I was thinking that's probably better than putting in soil and
yeah,
trying
that's.
to put grass
that's-
there at
yeah,
the top of the
that's-
slope.
And that was
then have it all
pre-exist,
wash
that was
out.
pre-existing the violation, so we
Okay.
don't know how long that's been there,
Right.
so.
So then what about additional things like posting and so forth? Fence, what do you think?
No, I think we're good.
You don't think post gesture? Yeah.
Not even just
Would
the
it make sense
standard.
to do a site visit?
Do what?
Do a
Sorry?
site visit?
We're not gonna be
Site
able to see
visit?
anything right now.
Yeah,
It's covered in
Yeah.
snow.
That's what we're gonna talk about too, is the schedule, what time frame are we looking at based upon, there's frost.
oh, yeah, well, we
Oh, yeah, not till.
certainly don't
no.
want you to plant trees in the middle of winter and have them die. No, we're not much of a rush.
You're not gonna shovel the snow to get at the bark
We want
mulch
this to
to.
succeed, that's the main thing, and having a good plan in place that we agree with is the first step on that, and then the timing will work out as we can make it work with the weather and so forth. Obviously want it to proceed, but,
There was that, we did put the silt fence in right now, and we just gotta get a sock there for the time being to prevent any.
right, but a good precautionary thing, who
So
knows what those-
what mechanism,
Up to you. We can-
I think they've been,
not really,
I think
no.
they've been proactive in coming. I think that
yeah, I don't know
just
that,
an NOI being submitted would be fine for me, instead of
Yeah.
issuing an enforcement order.
RDA, NOI,
Are we gonna ask for
EO.
a drawing,
What's that?
a plan?
Hey,
Yeah.
sorry, I forgot your name completely. Keith, thank you. At what point, do you think you'd have something in documented form? Do you already have something written up?
I do not have something right
Okay,
now, we just.
but based on what we're saying,
Yeah.
and the scope and so forth, and then some sort of, at least a sketch, if not to scale and so forth.
There was a sketch and a plan as well.
Right, yeah.
written
I think
plan.
that's what we're looking for from Fisher. Yeah, I think for timing wise to get that, what's reasonable time for you to come up with something like that? I don't want to propose 2 weeks if you want 4. no.
I leave on Saturday for Brazil, so I'll be gone for the week. I'm returning on the 24th, so I can have it the week after.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
first
first hearing
first
in
meeting
March.
in,
we
first
could
meeting
push
in
the
March?
First meeting in March, we don't need to rush you to do it by the 26th, so you have 2 days when you get back.
Yeah, we can do it
Traveling out of the
first
country.
of March,
Yeah,
that
if that works for you, and we do like to have Hannah have the information as early as possible in advance, she can keep you posted.
Yeah, we just need to have, it 2 weeks before the hearing date, just so I can get, everything processed and get the public notice out and
Right.
everything.
So our next
Those
meeting
dates- those
in
dates are on
March
the website,
is
the submission date and the, yeah.
the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month is when we meet, so this next meeting will be coincidentally March 12th.
I have one other question. Anna, can you zoom in here, please?
So if you got it to us beginning of March, that's fine.
Absolutely.
That should be 2 weeks.
These spaces, you're saying cars did not pull in here?
They brought their back wheels or their front wheels to the edge of the pavement. You're talking about prior to
The mulch.
the mulching?
Yeah,
So basically, they brought back tires.
so they would stop there.
The tires.
Yeah, because there's grass, there was a strip of grass, so the car could
I see
overhang a
that.
little bit.
So then they stuck into the parking lot quite a bit beyond the lines.
Before,
that
we
Steve's
said the
point.
cars only parked here. That's not reality. They were parking here as well.
I think they were saying they could squeeze a few more cars down in that gravel area. Is that
Yes.
in addition to having them
So
stick
a
way
car
out into
that
the parking?
stopped here would hang out into this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's.
We don't have.
So
And they fill up the middle of the cars too,
It's
so the
systematic,
whole
yeah,
thing
the
is
cars
full of
out.
cars.
I think the
On
painting
a Sunday
makes
morning,
it
it's
look
just
good.
packed, you
They
couldn't
used-
shoehorn another car
They
in
used
there.
they used to park on the street, but there had been accidents over the
Oh, yeah.
years.
Oh, yeah, that's bad, that's,
They did away with that. We haven't done that since I've been
Okay. All right, any other questions or observations? points, Steve?
still have what kind of,
Yeah, I think
what
that's,
what
the-
vehicle are we gonna?
Right, is it NOI?
well, I think based on the applicants and from what I'm hearing from the commission members so far, although feel free to chime in, that the responsiveness of the applicants and the fact they didn't know that they had done this, and some of them inherited this situation somewhat as they came into it, that we're getting a good response for a violation that, we're seeing, so.
Yeah, I
we
don't
can-
think an enforcement order seems kind of
I
a
think
little
whether-
heavy-handed,
versus-
so I don't really wanna go
I think
that.
it's like,
route.
they're willing to cooperate and,
An RDA or an NOI, I think is what we're looking for. You guys have a
Yeah.
preference?
I think an RDA is a mechanism to determine if an NOI is required, and if
So I
this
think
work-
it's gonna have to be an NOI.
Yeah, if this work was presented,
There's no determination here, it needs work.
right.
Right.
Yes,
Okay,
NOI.
so-
right.
All right, so I think we've agreed an NOI rather than an enforcement order is what we would prefer to do, and I'm sure you gentlemen wouldn't disagree with that. Nobody likes enforcement order, and us primarily too. Based on that, I think, and the timing that we were talking about for responsiveness, that we're moving this along in the next couple of hearings, I'm okay with having somebody make a motion to.
Well, we don't need a motion.
They haven't
We
submitted
don't need a
That's
motion.
right.
We don't need a motion.
That's right, because we haven't
They're
actually.
gonna do a filing.
This
And
is just
to clarify-
information.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
So would you be able to get that by the 26th of this month to us, or is that too?
The information, not for the actual
Yeah, I
hearing.
can get that to you by the
Okay,
26th.
yeah, that would be great.
And here I am just saying you didn't have to do it when you get back from Brazil in 2 days.
So I'm coming back on Monday.
Yeah. Okay, that, yeah, but if you
So
need to
they're gonna-
continue beyond, because you don't have the information, as long as you're communicating with Hannah, we know that you're working on the process. We'd rather have, all the information completed and you both in agreement that everything's good and, you got it in time and so forth. So, again, I'm comfortable that we're moving this
Yeah, yeah.
along in a good way. So, we appreciate that.
Well, when would you perceive the NOI to be issued?
Well, issuing is,
The order, you mean?
Yes, so.
yeah, that depends on them.
Order conditionals come out after the NOI is.
Yeah, it depends on the plan, but this is kind of a small area, so I wouldn't expect us to deliberate more than one hearing. I
Yeah.
think that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we already know all the backstory, so it's gonna be easy
Yeah,
for us
we-
to kinda.
Covered a lot of ground, so I
Yeah.
think if you get the filing in and we put it on for
Got the planting
the first,
information.
the first,
scheme.
first one in March, we should be able to wrap that up. Hopefully, if the plan's complete, we should be able to wrap it up
I
that
think the
evening.
key is the information is on the plan, so we can say, good, we don't have to come back for an updated one.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah,
well,
maybe
thank you,
that'll
gentlemen.
work out
Appreciate
good.
it. Unless you have any
Yeah.
questions or comments, you guys
Have a
good?
great night.
Okay. Ariane, you good?
Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank, appreciate it.
Another potential violation? Who found this one?
Good luck on your trip.
Yeah,
Safe
safe travels.
Brandon?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you. All right, so under other business, we had an Ingrid, is that Jim Bolduc? Yes, Jim, thank you for hanging on the line, appreciate you being there. We'll get to you right now. We have a National Grid pole replacement project on Rentham Road. There's one pole that you need to put in, from what I saw in the portal information that we were provided with. Can you just briefly highlight what you plan on doing?
I'm sorry?
I just wanted you to summarize real quickly what you plan on doing. One pole replacement for one that's got an issue or whatever off of Rentham Road there?
Yeah, it's pole P20 on Rentham Road. National Grid just needs to replace it. All vehicles will be on the road when they do it. It'll be replaced in the same location. Unfortunately, the pole is within the 200-foot riverfront area, 100-foot buffer zone to BBW, and the 100-year FEMA flood zone. But it is on the road shoulder, we typically tell them to put in erosion sedimentation controls around the backside of the work area, between the work area and the resource area.
Right.
So they do this stuff all the time. This is considered maintenance work for National Grid. If it was a new pole installation, we would be filing an RVA or an NOI, but typically for these maintenance projects where they're just replacing a pole, we just provide a maintenance notification letter for the work.
Right, we just had an issue with this, a similar situation last meeting, I think, with a pole replacement.
You guys.
Yeah, and James filled us
James
in.
lectured us, yeah.
Yeah, so we got a story there. Good, so I think that covers it pretty well. You covered the sediment, erosion control around the backside, which was one of our points I think we've made. And any other comments from the commission members? It's pretty straightforward. I think it's on the edge of the road, about the least disturbance possible.
All good.
Okay. All right, so I guess we've got our questions answered, and Hannah, you have any?
I got one, actually.
Oh, James has one.
Jim, are they proposing an anchor on it, or is it just going direct in, no anchor?
Let me, just give me 1 second to look.
I'm a hard ass, sorry.
No, it's a good question, though.
Well, what's there
No,
now?
no,
What's there now?
I don't know, that's why I
Well,
was.
why don't you Google it?
I'm kind of at sea about the whole thing.
Computer
Are we
died.
going to anchor it or not?
Looks like a straight line, so it shouldn't need one.
Okay.
It's a straight shot, it shouldn't need one.
Because usually if one's getting replaced, it means it's leaning.
Maybe it just rotted out. Maybe
Could
it's got
be.
termites.
Yeah.
Nobody hit it.
There is no
Maybe a
anchor
car hit it.
or guy wire proposed.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
All right, good. If the commission doesn't have anything, Ariane, you have any questions online?
Nope.
Okay, if the commission has no other questions, we thank you for your providing that
Yep.
information for us.
Yes, thank you.
Jim, thank you for hanging in on the meeting.
I'm sure I'll be back.
Probably, give or not. Yeah.
Be a smoother process next time.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
We'll hold in place. Keep the line. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Okay, we have potential violation at Granite Street / Farm Street. And you all read, hopefully, all that wonderful information with Medway and us and.
There's no guy.
So Bridget called you?
Yeah, so that's how I first got notified, and then I also, well, she said that they'd also taken enforcement action for zoning in Bellingham already.
Right,
So that's
Tim
also
McRae's also
ongoing
done
as
it.
well.
And he didn't tell us?
But
He filed through him, I mean,
they didn't realize, nobody's filed anything,
oh,
but, like, through conservation, but in the zoning enforcement, they didn't notify us when they did it, but they did mention
Yeah.
the Wetlands Protection Act.
He probably
in
should have
their-
dropped you a note.
yeah, Tim, especially since he's helped coordinate things with our
Yeah.
staff
Oh,
group.
oh, and
with
by
our-
the,
with
oh,
our
and by the way,
commission.
they're working in a wetland.
Yeah. But anyway, so
Anyway.
everybody's clear that they're
Lot of
doing stuff
work.
they shouldn't do. That Medway and it's right on the property line, and so both towns are involved. And I think we were asked if we could approach to see the impact from the backside of a neighbor's property, if we could get permission.
That, didn't.
Who wanted that? The Medway people wanted to know if they could do that, to take a look from there, because they were already told, no, you can't go on our property,
It's,
private person.
it's very hard to see. I drove it the other day. The
Yeah,
road
it's all
was shut
wooded out
down.
on the front.
Yeah, it's densely wooded.
And that's also, they
Why
put
can't
up
we
a
go
wood
on
chip
it?
pile in the front because some of the notifications
No,
to
neighbors'
Medway had been from neighbors.
They want a view from there.
So they put a mulch pile in the front.
They put like an 8-foot
Ostensibly-
berm of mulch
That's
up.
as a privacy screen?
Yeah,
Yes.
oh yeah. You can kind of
Alleg-
see over it a little bit.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
Much to do about nothing. I know. Yeah, I think that it's gonna play out mostly through zoning, I would assume,
You have it up?
less through Concom.
Well, they're in,
This is the.
Well, I know.
Well,
they're-
if they're
they're
in,
in
could
the
we
100.
tell?
No,
This one?
from the,
Yeah,
sorry.
and so that, oh, yeah, no, that's okay. And something I, was just looking at today, which I hadn't really noticed, was there's also some wetlands, small
Right.
isolated wetlands
That's your
across the
fault.
street.
Yep.
So obviously not subject to Wetlands
Someone must have
Protection Act,
edited
but
that.
the
It's like a stretch.
bylaw within a 100-feet buffer, there's also
It's wet
the
there,
movement
could be
around
deep.
there, not just that much bigger wetland in the corner.
Oh, good
which
point.
I didn't, that was
Yeah,
actually pointed out.
because it's on the other side of the street,
Yeah.
but
But
it's
still
within
not-
100
it's
feet.
still
It's
not
within
100.
Yeah, it is,
So,
it is.
because I was originally, I didn't think there was too much in those, other roadside properties that were within 100 feet of the
His
much
farm.
larger
Yeah,
wetland.
granite.
I was curious if it ran through
Ostensibly is a
the,
BVW, I assume
or
it
Eversource
connects
easement?
back to that,
Yeah.
bigger
I think
river
that's
wetland
over
system.
here.
yeah, because if it did, I could.
But I couldn't
walk
find
through
an
the
easy way
property.
to follow the wetlands in,
That would have to
because
be-
I figured if it's wetlands, I could at least follow it.
Given the not receptive / hostile reception that Medway received,
Yeah.
I wouldn't encourage you to try to get close to that property
No,
without
I didn't trespass.
backup
or
/
anything. Yeah.
GPS tracker on you or something like that, so we can find you later. Anyway, so my question is timing. I saw the notification from Tim / Medway. Both deadlines have passed for the 14 days. Have they responded? Do you know?
So they appealed both the Medway and the Bellingham appeal
What do you
came
wanna
in
know?
yesterday. So they've appealed
Yeah, it's
both
already
of them,
done.
and then it'll be scheduled
get
for,
I knew
it
it was
was in
close.
March 5th in Medway and March 6th for Bellingham, was the two appeals. But that's just appealing
No.
the type of work that's occurring. Their primary concern with the zoning is that it's not fit for, like, the contracting yard isn't fit for the agricultural zoning.
Right, it's the
So-
wrong, the activity taking
Right.
place in that zoning
Yeah.
category is not correct.
Yeah.
But if they're having activity in wetlands, or at least within a 25-foot buffer zone, it's
No,
like.
they're in the
can't-
100.
Even within the 100.
Yeah, but they may, on the backs,
What is it?
what was that it?
That's one in zone 2.
Yep.
Oh, all right.
Then, can we order a cease and desist?
Yes.
We can do enforcement, or whether it will have any effect or not is the question, but we can still do it if you want to. It's up to the commission. Sounds like
I mean, if-
legal stuff is being pursued and will continue to be, and we can add to that too. I'm fine with.
But it's
Say
zoning.
we issue it and
Yeah,
we tag it onto their,
Yeah.
we record it
Well,
and tag it onto their
the
parcel.
problem is, the problem is we can't quantify a violation.
No, but we can issue a cease and desist with an enforcement order saying you are doing an unregulated, or an activity, an unpermitted regulated, I'm fucking up, unpermitted activity in a regulated jurisdictional area.
Which we have only validated via
Doesn't really matter how
aerial
we,
photography.
doesn't really matter how
Well,
we
no, I
found
mean,
out.
but, you know, how is this gonna hold up?
Wait a second, hang on, everybody. Go ahead. Ariane,
We did that with the previous guys too, the church.
No, we could see that.
right, that was
we
very.
could see that.
Yeah, my only, yeah.
That we could see.
I think we do need to, in past enforcement orders, we've been either able to go on site, we've had to, report, we've been able to measure things and say,
Or neighbor
separate over the
allowed,
100 foot or over the 50 or into the wetlands. But in this
Sounds
case,
like
if we
they're-
can't get a good, accurate,
It sounds like they're very litigious, so
Right, so we wanna, if we do issue, we should
No,
be,
2021 aerial, you can see them doing stuff well within 100 feet.
Something that
You got like stones and,
has there ever been?
Something I would suggest too that we could do, just to potentially get a little bit more information before going to enforcement activity, especially in light of the fact that I didn't realize that there was also the isolated wetlands within 100 feet, so I might be able to potentially talk to other neighbors about, like, seeing how far those go and, doing a little bit more research before issuing the enforcement order, but we could also just issue a cease and desist notice of violation to ask them to come into the next meeting, and at that point potentially take
oh, like we
further
did with,
action.
the
Yeah.
church.
Yeah, that was also an idea I had.
So
but-
the threat before the actual enforcement.
Oh, I like
Exactly, and
that.
give them a chance to come in and talk to us, even though they may have not, done that in other areas, we could still try to have
I like
them
it.
come talk to us before.
I like it,
I
yeah.
do too.
Did you check if they've had any open orders?
So the only stuff on the property was, there was an oil spill.
Okay.
A what?
A long time,
An
there was
oil
like an
spill.
oil tanker spill. So that was handled a while ago, but that all got
I'm not-
wrapped up.
That's
And
probably when it was a horse
notification
barn and they
and-
might have had an outside tank that leaked or something.
Yeah, and so it was a
Paddock.
huge cleanup activity, and they had a bunch of other environmental permits. It wasn't really like wetlands
What do they do
super,
there?
but.
What
it's
is
like
it?
I look
agricultural.
at Google Earth and I'm like, what is
So
this?
it used to be a horse
Excavated.
farm.
Yeah, it used to
was
be a farm,
horse
like a
pasture,
horse, yep.
And currently, the alleged zoning violation is that it's being used as a contractor's yard. There's trucks going in and out, there's materials being stored, there.
landscaping, processing material, which means
Processing
grinding.
It's heavy
and chips
equipment.
and stuff forth. Yeah.
Wood chip grinding, just a lot of different stuff that's going on.
And it was a
there.
lot of the truck traffic that prompted some of the neighbors or whatever
Yeah,
to raise
yeah.
issues with Medway.
Yeah. Yep.
Go Medway.
And he's selling it on Facebook.
You can see
with
mulch
pictures
storage
of it.
bins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's,
Yeah.
he was selling some of the materials
Bill
on
Nye got one.
Facebook, so there's,
Okay.
some of that going
Her
on.
and I get along pretty well.
Not hiding,
Built
not
on an
hiding it,
island
okay.
of upland surrounded
Oh,
by
right.
wet, yes.
In the interest of time, gentlemen, what do you want to do? You want to proceed as Hannah's suggesting?
the-
Okay.
That's a good plan.
Yeah.
The letter and then request that they come in for the next meeting.
Yep.
And if we get no response, we proceed with further enforcement action.
Sure.
Sound
Proceed
good
with
to
the
you,
Hannah
Ariane?
files.
You hearing that online?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you, Hannah. That's a good idea. Put the work on you, but you're volunteering, so
I
I'm
got
not
most of it
throwing
all
it.
set up
There you go.
already.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, anything else on this
See
you
some
guys
of
want to
that
discuss or not? No? Okay, thanks. Minutes approval, 1/8 and 122. I have one small comment on one of them, and that's it for me, but I will see if anybody else has any other comments on the January 22nd or the January 8th minutes.
Cryptic.
I think I made some edits. Hannah and maybe Mike.
On which meeting?
Yep, for the January 8th.
January 8th, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Right.
I I don't know if you re-reviewed it, but I think I incorporated, some of the things were questions, but, like she was asking, like, oh, who said this?
Right, so was
I
that
think
incorporated
I-
in what I was reading when I was looking at the minutes?
Yep,
Okay,
yeah,
so
the
that's good.
January 8th ones, yep.
All right, the only one I was
Those should be
gonna,
updated.
so I think those have been incorporated, Marianne.
They should be.
The only comment I had was on the page 5 of 7 for the January 22nd meeting. This regards the site walk that we did to 15 Cranberry, Meadow Drive, the one we just heard tonight. It says several commission members conducted a site walk on January 18th. During the walk, they noted that the applicant should apply an approved native seed mix in areas currently covered with mulch. Shrub plantings were also discussed. Additionally, the commission members emphasized the entire 25-foot no disturb area should be restored and clearly marked with posted and badges. Ms. Chase noted there was no DEP file number yet. This is the minutes from the meeting on the 22nd, not the site walk itself per se, but given the way it's written and the fact that we did discuss not discussing it during the meeting, I had Neil point that out to me as we got a little too ambitious, I'd like to potentially amend this to be what I think is more accurately reflecting, which would be something along the lines of, let's see if I can read my note here. During the walk, so several commission members conducted a sidewalk on January 18th. During the walk, there were a number of issues noted which were then discussed during the 122nd meeting.
Right.
Just to basically capture, we didn't discuss these issues.
Right.
We noted them.
Yeah,
It wasn't
correct.
like nobody said anything about them, but we did not, we pulled back, thanks to Neil restraining me from getting too antsy there. But that, I think, is a little more accurate capturing of it. If you want me to give you my scribbled notes, I'll be glad to do that, Hannah, later. Okay, so is that anything else for either minutes? Okay, I'll accept a motion to accept the minutes of the 8th and the 22nd as amended and noted in this meeting tonight.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you, James and Don. Any other comments? No?
I would
Pam.
just say,
Oops.
on the 122nd conservation minutes, to change the part where I recused myself to be the same as the 1/8.
Okay.
So not on the 22nd, but on the 8th? You didn't recuse yourself? Okay. All right.
On the 22nd minute, to change the language where everything to be the same as what it was in the 1/8.
Oh, on this, to make it the same as the 8th. Okay, all right. That sounds fine. All right, thanks. All right, if there are no other comments, Pam? Don?
Aye.
Ariane?
Aye.
Neil?
No.
Okay. Dissension, sorry, now let's discuss this. Why?
Yes.
Steve? James?
Aye.
Mike,
Gave
aye,
up real
okay.
quick there, didn't ya?
I'll accept the
Yeah,
motion to
Got a
close,
hill I'm gonna
unless
die
somebody
on.
has something else, I will accept motion to close and end the meeting and
So moved.
Pam?
Seconded.
Don, thank you. No other discussion. Pam? Ariane?
We could just do that by voice vote.
No. Steve? Aye. Neil?
Aye.
Mike? James?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
We could do a
everybody.
motion to close by voice vote.
Record time.
Yes, we can. Is it a record time?
Yeah, have a good night, everyone.
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks, Ariane.
I just have to